This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a spectacular, beautiful start to a winter's morning here in South Africa. You can see there's a little bit of orange peeking up as the sun hopefully comes and rescues us from a cold start to the day. My name is Tristan. On camera I've got David who's on camera today. I was going to say Darby Davids, and it all just amalgamated into one and didn't really want to come out, but David is on camera with me this morning as per the norm. David, it's nice to be back with you. David has forsaken me over the last few days and left me and let me kind of carry on, and I've been with Ferg mostly, so it's nice to have David back as well. Did you miss me, David? Oh, excellent. I missed you too. Right, so we are coming to you live from South Africa, which means that you can talk to us, you can ask questions, you can send comments, you can just say hello if you want to, if you're a little shy and don't want to ask questions, and you can do that on hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat stream. Now, the plan for this morning is, I'm not sure what the plan is actually. I've thought, well, I'll first gaze upon the beauty that is a pre-sunrise out here. I mean, look, that orange light is absolutely beautiful into those kind of light blues and then fading up into the dark blackness. Now, what I think we're probably going to do is, I think since we've been so focused on the central area, I've hardly driven around Djuma much lately. In fact, I think the last 3 game drives haven't gone more than about 500 meters from the lodge. So what I'm going to try to do, I think, is I'm going to head a little bit west just for a change of scenery. And we're going to bumble about there, see what we can find. Maybe we get lucky with Shadulu. I know that Hukumuri was mating with Tiani yesterday, and so I'm hoping that maybe if we just do a little loop around, we might get lucky with Shadulu. Otherwise, we're going to head towards Treehouse, down to Twin Dams, and then we'll slowly meander about and see what comes our way. There's no real specific plan this morning. I thought we'd give Hassan a break for right now. We might go back to him a little bit later. We know when we can't find other leopards that he's normally the go-to at the moment. Yesterday, he had a bit of an interesting evening because I was watching him as we finished the show, and it seemed as though the hyenas were on his tail chasing him around, and so he ran quite far south, and especially when he heard those lions roar, he did not like that at all, and so he moved quite quickly southwards. So I wouldn't be surprised he's maybe hanging around Twin Dam, somewhere around there. So we'll go scratch around, and also, you never know, Tundi and Tlelamba could also be alright. Now, in terms of lions, I have not heard any sound for lions this morning. It seems as though they must have headed after the buffalo and potentially then gone northwest. The buffalo crossed at Sydney's dam and headed northwest into the Manyeleti, I would imagine. It looked like they went over the dam wall by Sydney's accounts, and that would mean straight into the Manyeleti, and so I'm pretty sure the lions followed. I doubt that they'll still be on our side. We'll go and have a little look. Like I say, we'll go and check around Sandy Patch and just see what's happening there. The thing is that I'm pretty sure both Hosana, Tingana, any of our leopards would try and kind of move away from the lions more than anything else. They're not going to head towards where they're calling, obviously, especially not Tingana after yesterday's bad day. He's certainly going to be going the complete opposite direction to where lions are making a noise. Now, James, you say you would like to see the wild doggies on Djuma. Well, James, I was just thinking about that myself, because I can't even actually remember the last time I saw wild dogs on a drive. I've seen them around lately and kind of bumped into them, and you know, even the other day when I had Hosana, it was just a long distance quick visual, and then James took the wild dogs off with him on a goose chase of note. And so, you know, I would like to actually spend a bit of time with dogs. It's always fun and exciting, and time seems to just disappear when you're with wild dogs, because you tend to be most of the time racing around and trying to kind of chase after these things, and it makes it quite fun actually. You get to have a really good time chasing dogs, except of course if you hit a stump and you end up out the car, then not so much fun anymore. But I think that's probably the last time, to be honest, that I followed dogs for any length of time. You know, it's been a bit of a dog drought for me in many respects. So hopefully we'll rectify that. I wouldn't mind spending some time with dogs. The problem is that the dogs that we're seeing here at the moment is these 2 from the breakaways, as you know, James, and 2 from both from breakaways, I suppose, Low Sabi and Investec. And that means that, you know, it's if they're not together, then finding 1 or 2 dogs can be very, very difficult. It's not something that is easily done, and what we need to hope for is that they make a lot of noise and decide to sit somewhere or kill something and stay in one place until you can catch up with them, because otherwise very difficult to find. Now, just having a look here, some zebra tracks that are going westwards at the moment. So we're going to just see. I'm pretty sure the lions must have gone that way. I don't see their tracks crossing at the moment. So that would be a good indication that they must have headed more north, because they were on Gallagher shortcut and theoretically should have come out to where I am now if they were going to be out and about and already following, or moving further south and not following those buffalo. Like I say, now I'm 900% sure that they did follow the buffalo, but anyway, we'll just have a little look, make 100% sure they didn't go to Sandy Patch, and you never know, maybe they managed to catch a buffalo that was on the back end of the herd and it stayed behind. These things are always possible, so worth just double checking and making sure. But what an eventful day it was yesterday. It was Inkahumas with Tingana, there was Hosanna in the mix, there was a buffalo herd, then there was the Inkahumas with the elephants at the nest cam. Tingana then pitched up and had a drink at Gallagher Pan. Hosanna was also there. It was lots and lots of things going on all at once, and so it was a busy day yesterday, and hopefully it will be another busy day today. It looks like the weather is going to be absolutely perfect. Once again, there is very little wind in comparison to what we've been experiencing over the course of the last month. It's typical for August to be quite a windy month here in South Africa, and so it's been quite pleasant that in the last 2 or 3 days the wind has kind of backed off a bit, and yesterday evening has got to be one of the most beautiful evenings we've had in a long time. The temperature was perfect, there was not a breath of wind, and we had that beautiful color in the sunset again. So a wonderful way to kind of end the day. Oh, suicidal scrub here running at us, but it's decided at the last second that, oh, no, it's going now the opposite way. Scrub here, what are you doing? That one's full of beans this morning. It's got a lot of energy. Right, now I am going to head up towards Sandy Patch, as I said, go and have a little look and scratch around there. And so while I do that, I'm not the only one out here. You must be wondering why I've been rambling on for so long. Jamie is also out and about in the Masai Mara, and well, she is ready and rearing to go, and hopefully she'll have some interesting things to be able to show you.
Morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. I have a secretary bird in the sunrise, somewhat appropriately, sitting on top of a balanites tree, preening itself in preparation for the dawn of a new day. And what a pretty day it is promising to be. My name is Jamie, and this morning Archie is on camera with me, and we are live from the Masai Mara in Kenya, where we've started off with a bird that I think of as iconic to the Masai Mara. We could see them on Djuma as well, but we very seldom do. In fact, I've never seen one on Djuma in my time there. But you see them all the time in the Masai Mara. And they're one of the most, I suppose you could say, extravagant birds, right up there with the crowned crane, although I think the crowned crane takes that prize. And if I sneeze, I apologize. I don't know why, but I haven't been able to stop sneezing since I woke up. What do you think of that, secretary bird? That crest of feathers is such a strange thing. I suppose it is a communication tool, and perhaps even an intimidation tool. Able to fluff it up at will, particularly when it's upset, then you'll find that that crest stands up on edge. The reason that's doing that, though, is because the wind is blowing. What do you see? Oh, do those neck warm-up exercises? Stretching, waking up for a new day. Before it's time to set out on foot, because it is a bird that spends most of its time on the ground, even though it looks like well, it is a bird of prey, but it looks like it should be taking to the skies and hunting from the air. But it will spend most of its day on the ground, stomping on bugs. That is essentially what secretary birds do. They go off in search of insects, grasshoppers, anything like that, and they stomp on them. They also catch snakes, which is something that I think we're all dying to get on camera. It has happened briefly, but it's something that we would really like to get. Look how beautiful it is. Oh, what a morning. It is so nice not to be rained on. An absolute joy. No real plans for the morning safari. I will bumble along past where Brent left the Olololos yesterday. Possibly pop into the hyena den on our way through if the road is dry enough. We couldn't get there yesterday because it was absolutely waterlogged. And then we'll go see where the wildebeest are. Yesterday on the sunrise safari, I noticed how fragmented the big herds had got. Mrs. Grumpy, I hope that the live safaris make your life slightly less grumpy. Mrs. Grumpy said it's like the secretary bird is showing off. They always look like they are very aware of their own beauty. As they stalk through the long grass, there's something very, what's the word, self-aware, I guess, would be a good description. This is the equivalent of sort of putting on its makeup in the morning, brushing its hair. Although it serves a slightly more... Oh, that feather doesn't belong. Serves a slightly more important purpose because it makes sure that the feathers are all aligned. The fluffy, downy feathers keeping it warm. The primary feathers on top keeping it dry and helping it fly. Almost looks like it's moving in stop motion when it preens. Very jerky movement. Alright, we're going to have to depart from the secretary bird because it appears as though there is a breakfast planned this morning at the Out of Africa viewpoint, which means there's going to be a fair amount of vehicle traffic as they transport all the goods in that direction. So let's carry on and we can bumble along. I see some buffalo up ahead, so we'll go around there. There's an elephant. Lots to see this morning. I just want to duck out of the way of this truck. Ah, Tina, good morning to you. Tina, no, they don't nest on the ground. They nest in trees, much like all other birds of prey. But you could be forgiven for thinking that they might want to nest... might want to nest on the ground because they spend so much time on the ground. But no, the trees are safer. I really appreciate this, mister, because it's very soggy. Mambo! But what they'll do is they'll nest in a balanites tree, in the typical messy nest of a bird of prey. There is one that we know of on the Ngirari Road, which is an area that's recently opened up to us with the installation of the Mara Sun repeater. A beautiful area down to the southwest. I wonder if it's still there. I actually haven't checked on it in a while. And we've spent quite a bit of time there. I think we would have noticed. I see some ellies up ahead. You can go spend some time with them. Very peachy light this morning. Pinkish. Quite stunning. Jen in Final Control says that it is very pinkish, and indeed it is beautiful. The Mara light I found is... well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's unique. I haven't traveled everywhere in the world, but to me, the Mara light is the most beautiful light I've seen anywhere. It goes from these pinky sunrises, golden sunsets, and then all of a sudden changes to this... It's harsh light, but it's not white, blinding light like it gets in the sands. Hello, my big boy. Oh, I love this elephant. He's such a special gentleman. You see him often. He lives sort of... saying lives is a bad term for an elephant. No, don't turn away. He spends a lot of time around our camp, or at least around the road to our camp, and he's just beautiful. Look at him. Enormous tusks. He's been a regular, actually, on our live drives. We see him often. From last year, we got to know him. From the moment we arrived, he was always around here. It's obviously the place he likes to be. Oh boy, now you're walking away from us. And for such a big elephant, and he is a big elephant, make no mistake, both in tusk size and in body size, he is such a gentleman. The other night I was coming home in the dark, it was pouring with rain, we had all the rain covers down, which meant our visibility was next to nothing, and we drive up quite a steep hill to our camp. To call it quite a steep hill is an understatement. We drive up something very steep and very narrow, and he was standing in the middle of it halfway up, which obviously wasn't ideal in the dark and the pouring rain. And he just looked at me, and then he wandered down, and there's deep ditches on either side of the road to stop it from being wrecked by the rain again. And he made his way slowly, slipping and sliding out, and he didn't have to. He could have made me wait as he walked all the way up the hill on the road, because it was a much nicer way for him to go. But he didn't. He just moved away. So he's a proper gentleman. In complete contrast to another bull that I keep seeing on River Road that keeps chasing me away. He's in must, and he just is... He's naughty. He's really, really naughty. I think he's had great fun chasing tourists around in the high season. Sean, it's difficult to say when you would consider an elephant fully grown, because they do actually continue to grow throughout their lives. I suppose you could say sexual maturity would be around about the time that you would consider an elephant fully grown. So for a male, it would be around about between 15 and 18 years old. However, just because he is fully grown and ready to mate, it doesn't actually mean that he ever gets the chance to. Because there's other big bulls like this gentleman in a natural setting, in a setting where there's the full spectrum of elephant population. He'll actually be beaten up if he even thinks about mating with a female. He'd have to get very lucky. And it's probably only when he's about 30 or so that he'd be large enough to start competing with other bulls for mating rights. So often elephants don't mate, even though they go through the must cycle. Often they don't mate until they're over 30 years old. For the females, things start a little bit younger, at 12, 13 years old, when they go through their estrus cycles, which is why elephant mating is quite a brief affair. Now you can imagine a 12, 13-year-old female elephant is nowhere near her full size. She's still tiny, and to carry the weight of a male of this size, who would be the one mating with her, is quite an experience for her and can be quite risky. So it makes elephant mating a very short affair. Isn't he beautiful? Every now and again his tusks just catch the light. The pinkish hue, which is now turning golden. Now he's probably at an age around about 45 or so, where elephants go through a burst, or male elephants go through a massive burst in growth of tusk size. So all of a sudden around about then, their tusks grow very, very quickly, faster than they have for the rest of their lives. And that's basically when they're considered to be in their prime. Bigger than most of the other males, ready to chase them away, ready to accept the prize that they've been waiting for their whole lives, which is the right to mate with any female that takes their fancy and happens to be an estrus. Now, I have never known a morning in Africa that isn't beautiful, and while it's beautiful in the Masai Mara, I'm sure it's equally beautiful in South Africa as well.
It is indeed, Jamie, and I share your sentiments on those things. Although I suppose there have been some days where you wake up and you think to yourself, well, I don't really want to get out of bed and go into this when it's raining and cold. That's the worst weather for me. I don't do well in rain or cold. I'm quite fine in the warm rain, but the cold rain does not do it for me. Now, interestingly enough, we are following tracks for what seems to be 2 lionesses, maybe more. I mean, there's a whole bunch of tracks here, so this could be the Nkuhuma Pride going over here, but I know that there was, so this pathway that runs like this is a main crossing point for the Nkuhuma Pride. They often like to cross here, and there's lots and lots of tracks for lions walking in this area, so I think they've gone. But I know that yesterday, I don't know if any of you remember the Shimungwe Pride. Anyone of you remember the Shimungwe Pride? It was 2 females and a young boy, and it's now just the 2 girls. And they were seen on this western side, and there's tracks going up and down here for what looks like 1 or 2 females. And I wonder if maybe the Nkuhumas didn't go to the west, and that... Now, I'm just listening to James's update. James is saying that there's a leopard calling very close to Mvubu Road and Galagopan area, so I'd imagine that's Tingana that's maybe calling that side. So we'll go and have a little scratch around, but they might be the ones that are walking around. Maybe they just traded places with the Nkuhumas and came out this side and could have been moving up and down. But what their tracks are doing is going in, out, and it seems as though a lot of the tracks for the Nkuhumas, at least, have all crossed into the west, which it doesn't surprise me at all. I was expecting them half to go north or west. I didn't expect to find the Nkuhumas on our side. They would have only stayed here had they gotten something to eat, or unless they went that way and chased something back this side. But it seems like they would have gone just that way. Nkuhumas, it's a funny thing. They seem to spend a bit of time here, but yet they only really kill a lot of food on that side of the road, which is, I don't know why that is, but it is the way it is. I suppose they've got a few open areas there where it's got a little bit more of the food items that they like, so wildebeest and zebras and the likes. Okay, now James says he hears a leopard calling at Mvubu Road, Galagosh area, so maybe what we should do is head back down Weirtail Access and go back onto Galagosh shortcut. It's probably going to be our easiest route. The problem with the leopard sawing at that area is that it's like yesterday, they just disappear on you. It can be quite frustrating because you sit there, you hear them calling, and then next thing they're just gone, and that makes life a little on the tricky side. But let's go and scratch anyway. Let's go and see what we can find. Hopefully we just find Tingana ambling down the road looking smitten with himself. That would be the most ideal thing. Sean, I don't think so now. I think it's been too long. And you never know, it's possible, but it's been a long time since the Birmingham boys stepped foot in this area, and they seem very smitten with being down near the Sand River and with the Kambula Pride and the likes, and so I don't know if they will. I mean, I suppose it's possible. You know, it was interesting with watching the Majingalans and the, you know, the Matimbas to a degree as well, is that the Majingis, they left and they went far west. But every now and then you'd get 1 or 2 that would just come back at random times and come and check out what was going on, and then they would go back again. But I mean, I doubt that we'll see much of the Birminghams anymore up this side of the world. You never know. I mean, I suppose it can happen, but if there's a coalition that maybe pushes them from the south, they might come back, but I doubt it. I think they have got really sort of good tenure down there, and not many animals that are going to challenge them. I certainly don't know of any coalitions that could be potentially close to that area that could push them anytime soon. So for now, I think they are pretty sorted where they are, and they've got great food availability. They've got, you know, the perfect places to not only find food, but to be able to, you know, mate with females. They've got water down there that's permanent throughout the year, so it's a pretty perfect scenario for them. The only thing that interests me is that while they have moved southwards, there's only really 1 pride that they've mated with so far. 2 prides, let's say. 2 prides that they've mated with. So, you know, it's an interesting kind of take, because up here they've abandoned 3 different prides to go and kind of take 2 prides, which is quite strange. I wonder if maybe when the likes of, you know, the Nkuhuma Pride, or all of these females start coming into estrus cycles, what's going to happen? Because that might drag them a little bit further to the north again. But I doubt it. I don't think we're going to see much of the Birminghams going forward. Now, I do apologize if I'm sniffing a little bit. It is a bit chilly in the nose runs, which is not ideal, so we try and keep that in check. But in the meantime, while we do that, let's send you across to Jamie Patterson, who I know sometimes struggles with the sniffy nose as well because of her allergies, and hopefully her allergies are all under control over the last few weeks.
I'm sneezing, I'm sorry. You can have a look at the giraffe briefly while I try and stop sneezing. I've just sneezed about 15 times in a row. And I can't understand it. It must have been something. Maybe it was the wildebeest. The arrival of the wildebeest. I'm going to have to go digging for an antihistamine. I don't even know if we have one. It's thoroughly incapacitating. I can't see. My eyes are streaming. Oh my goodness. Oh. You know, it's dreadfully... got a sneeze. Stuck. The sneeze is stuck. What I was going to say was... It is... it's gone again. It's dreadfully unfair because, I ended up with all of the allergies as a child. And my brother didn't. Not that I wish the allergies upon him, but he didn't want to be a vet when he was younger. That's exactly what I wanted to be. And it's not the dust in the car because it's rained and we've had the car cleaned, and it's quite a mystery as to what has set this off. Oh, excuse me. Oh. So we have some giraffe here, and I'm at a loss as to what to say about the giraffe because I can't really concentrate on them. They are lovely though. I thought for a second one of them had got what Liam has termed the staries. In other words, spotted a predator and is staring intently in its direction, which is one of the ways, particularly in the Mara, that we often find cats, is to watch the giraffe behavior. Because they have that natural advantage of being, well, just a little bit taller than other animals, and they have a very keen eyesight, and as a result they can actually spot things. Morning! Everyone's driving past me looking very concerned because it looks as though I'm weeping. Oh, this one's got an itchy spot. Excuse me, Dustin, sorry. The hump on the giraffe's back is basically an extension of the shoulder blades and then the neck vertebra. If you look at the vertebra of a giraffe, the processes where the muscles attach are very, very long, the muscles and tendons. Now that is pronounced in the giraffe over there because it has to lever the massive weight of its head and its neck. Now, down the back of a giraffe neck runs a tendon that actually holds the giraffe's head up in place. So a giraffe doesn't have to tense its muscles to hold its head up. It actually is done by a long, very, very thick, very strong tendon. And the giraffe actually has to contract its neck muscles to pull against the tensile strength of that tendon and pull its head down. Now, that tendon needs somewhere to attach. So if you look at a diagram of a giraffe skeleton, you'll see how that hump actually provides nice flat attachment points for that tendon to connect to and the various muscles that are associated with it. So yes, it does serve a purpose. If you think about it, that neck's 2 meters long, 6 feet long, and it's muscular. And if you've ever picked up a giraffe skull, which, forgive me, I could be mistaken, but I doubt that you have, they have really heavy heads. And that's just the skull. They're big animals. So there's all of that weight, plus the fact that it's on a 2 meter long, on the end of a 2 meter long neck. There you can actually see the muscles contracting as that giraffe bends down. And you get essentially an anatomical need to balance it out. Hence the hump on the back. Alright, I'm going to try and get us off this road. It is busy at this time of morning. Crystal! Hello! Crystal, there's no set number to giraffe groups, or herds, or journeys as they are known. So essentially, a giraffe is non-territorial and it has no set herd structure. So that means is they'll come together, they'll drift apart in 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. There's no set amount. Now out here in the Masai Mara, I've seen up to 30 giraffe before in one journey, possibly even more, come to think of it. But sometimes you see them on their own. Usually it's big dominant males that are out on their own, but you might also see a group of big dominant males together, so there's no real set rule or herd structure. Ooh, this could be nice. Please land in the tree, please land in the tree. You're not going to land in the tree. Okay, you can land on the ground, that's fine. Got another big bird of the Masai Mara. Hello. Morning. Dr. Rob, no, I've never seen a giraffe stand on just its back legs. In fact, they can't even really jump all that well. They can, but not particularly well. So no, a giraffe would really struggle to balance on its back legs. I imagine that should some... Oh, ground hornbill's vanished. Should some animal trainer somewhere in some... You know, if we were to go back 40 years or so, when it was still acceptable for that sort of... Not, it was never acceptable, but when it was still done, perhaps you could try and teach a giraffe to stand on its back legs. Be anatomically very uncomfortable. They can do it. I mean, males actually have to lift both legs off the ground in order to mate. They have to mount the female, but then they're resting their weight on her back and on her pelvis, just in the same way elephants can. But elephants stand on their back legs more often than a giraffe will. Giraffe, they're not structured that way. We have a ground hornbill who is determined to stay on the ground behind the grass, true to form. The hornbill are so relaxed here, it's wonderful. Now I'm going to let our ground hornbill wander off so I can get off the main thoroughfare of the reserve. That was a beautiful view, by the way. Let's go join Sydney. Was it Sydney? I think it was Sydney. Or was it Steve? Sydney. On Bushwalk, because it's got light enough on Juba. Oh, it's calling.
It is I, James. Good morning and welcome to the Bushwalk side of the Sunrise Safari. The sun is yet to actually rise. My name is James Henry. Fergus is on camera, and it is marvellous to have you with us. I must just tell you that today is Fergus's final act for this iteration of his work period with Wild Earth. He's leaving us to go back to the lamentable settlement of Cape Town. No one is really sure why, but that is what he is going to do. Anyway, lovely to have you with us. Please keep talking to us using the hashtag SafariLive and the chat stream on YouTube. Our plan, as always, is probably to find leopards. We're going to see if we can find some tracks. Have heard some elephants, have heard some lions as well, so maybe we'll be very lucky with a triple bonanza. But I don't know if that'll be the case. We might just find ourselves staring at grass, which often happens to be the case on Bushwalk. Good. Okay, come on then. Let's go for a little wander. I can also hear ground hornbills, not the same ones that Jamie can see, obviously, because they're, well, some 2,500 miles away in the Masai Mara. But I can hear some ground hornbills over the top here. The moon is still out. The other thing we'll start to look for as well, what with it being nearly the 1st of spring, which is tomorrow, is any signs of spring. Knobthorn flowers, perhaps, and any little flushes of green. And all of you saying how much you're going to miss Ferg, yes, we're going to miss him rather too, actually. It's a bit sad when people leave, but you know they move on to other pastures, greener, or in the case of Cape Town, wetter than they are here. Certainly windier. Let's go to this termite mound. It's a glorious morning. I think it's going to be another beautiful day. It's a little fresh at the moment, but it will soon become a lot warmer. There's a bearded woodpecker tapping away at his tree there. Now, over here we have a termite mound, which of course is a vantage point for many creatures. And most notably on this particular termite mound, it has become a vantage point probably for hornbills and also a feeding station. We know this, of course, because what we have here is a whole lot of white stuff. Now, the white stuff is uric acid, unless I'm very much mistaken, that comes out on the top of the feces of a hornbill or bird, any bird actually, and it is left in little white stains over here. And I suspect it was either standing here warming itself in the sun, or what's happened is it was picking up termites. This is probably an active mound. You can see that there is not a great deal of vegetation growing on it, and so it's probably active with termites still. Come around here. Something else quite interesting. Excuse me, frog in my throat. Is that we've got a whole lot of marula pips here. Now, marula pips are often consumed by squirrels and stored in trees, but they are not normally, I wouldn't have thought, associated with termitaria like this. And it makes me very interested to see them here, and I don't know what's been eating them. There are all sorts of tracks around here that are almost impossible to discern, but it's possible that it's mongoose, I suppose, but mongoose are carnivores. So I'm not sure why they would have done that, and whatever it was is very skilled at getting marula nuts. There is the marula nut, and over the two eyes of the little alien face, you normally have these caps. There we go. And if you have very small rodent-like teeth, well, then you're able to remove the caps and get the nut out. So that little cap would go in there like that. I'm not sure if this is the right cap because there are hundreds of them on the ground here. This is like a little pirate now, an alien pirate. Thank you for that, Fergus. So I'm not sure what happened here, unless there was a great gathering of elephant dung, perhaps, filled with marulas, and maybe the squirrels came and fed on the ground here. They do take refuge in termite mounds, but they wouldn't roost in termite mounds, I don't think. I think they'd almost universally go up into trees. Let me just feel if there's any heat coming out here. There is a little bit of metabolic heat coming out. Not a huge amount. It's entirely possible, of course, that a snake could leap out and bite me on the hand, but luckily that has not happened. Right, let's go back across to the Masai Mara, where Jamie Patterson is now looking at an elephant, and I'm going to try and stand up on my rickety old knees.
It's so seldom in the Masai Mara that we get to orchestrate walk-bys with herds of elephants, and unfortunately in this particular instance I had to take a little bit of, or give the elephants a little bit of distance, because this is a main road, so I wasn't sure what other people around me were going to do. I really wanted to go and park. Oh, look at this little one on the right here, Archie. It's the one without a tail. We know you. We know you. What happened to your tail, little one? Crocodile? Infection? Could have been any of those things. All we know is that it doesn't have a tail. Poor little girl. It won't disadvantage her too seriously. Elephants are so attuned to each other's body language that the fact that she doesn't have a tail won't matter at all. But it does make her very distinctive. Following closely behind Mum as she leads her youngsters to safety. Crystal, again, it sort of depends upon the individual, but you're looking at around about between 13 and 15 years old. That's when the males will choose to, I think it's a combination of choose to leave the herd and just face a degree of hostility from the females in the herd. They're not really welcomed anymore into the social gatherings, the social center of the herd. So as a result, they eventually, through a combination of instinct and behavior, are pushed out of the way. We're going to have a vehicle come through. It is a very busy road. That's why I'm not stopping too often and much. I'm just going. Archie's very kindly provided me with an antihistamine. I will let you know when it kicks in. You might know because I might just veer off the road and fall asleep. I won't, I'm kidding. I often wonder how male elephants feel about the... Dory, as far as I know, the baby elephant that had the snare removed 2 days ago is doing absolutely fine. I don't think it's been seen again, and that's probably because the herd has responded to that level of, from their perspective, interference, which of course it isn't really. It's people trying to help it, but they don't know that necessarily. So what's probably happened is that, how sweet was that? It turned around just to see where its buddy was. You'll find that they probably have gone into hiding slightly. However, when the elephant was darted and when the snare was removed and it was woken up, it was reunited with its mother. So we can be pretty certain that it's absolutely fine. The people who help out with these sorts of things, the Mare Elephant Project, the Conservancy, they are experts at this. I'm sure that little elephant is fine. Probably slightly traumatized, to be fair, which is unavoidable. It's the equivalent of a sort of alien abduction, I suppose, or experience. All of a sudden there's a sharp pain in its bottom and then it knows no more until it wakes up, presumably with a feeling similar to a night on the day after a night on the town. I don't really know how they experience coming out of that anesthetic, but we know as humans how we feel when we come out of a general anesthetic, and we know what's going on. All of a sudden they might be covered in purple spray, which is the color of the antibiotic spray that is used, or bright pink, or bright green. It's invariably a bright color. Possibly with slightly dry eyes, although they're given ointment to protect their eyes when they're anesthetized. Cobalt, in keeping with the theme, I have indeed seen an elephant sneeze. I don't know if I would describe it fully as a sneeze. It was a sort of a half trumpet, half gust of air blowing out of its nose, a sort of boom, boom, which I took to be something similar to a sneeze. We've got to get off this road. We've got to get off this road. We've got to get off this road. I've got to get off this road. Let's get off this road. I was going to go that way, but I think I might go the other way. Anyone behind me? Good. This road's almost as busy, and it looks like the balloons are going to land. Let's go this way. Let's go this way. High season. And we are on the main entrance to the reserve. I'm going to put my foot down and cover some ground, see what we can find you and where we can get to. We're going to cover distance. James might cover some distance, but probably not quite as much.
Like as much. I am on foot. Of course, there's the sun. It's come up to warm my face. It is a little chilly. We're now on our way towards the Gallagher Pan to see if we cannot come up perhaps with some tracks of Tingana or some lions or Hosana or something of that nature. I thought perhaps we had him moving towards the dam earlier today, and that's because Fergus is just detaching himself from a tree there, and I thought perhaps what we'd do. Oh, I've lost my train of thought now. Oh yes, I thought I heard perhaps him heading towards the waterhole because there were some grey go-away birds going quack, quack, quack. So perhaps it was Hosana. Let us just have a quick look at this delicate gossamer here, created by the tropical tent web spider, a very small version of the tropical tent web spider. That will become, hopefully, for the spider, a larger version. But of course, a risky time this for the tropical tent web spider. No foliage to disguise herself. And so any hungry little bird could come across here and say, I fancy me some spider for breakfast. And it's really only at this time of the day that you really understand how many of these things there are. And I don't know if Fergus is able to catch them in the camera, but if you look into the sun, you can see hundreds of these little webs distributed across the trees. Can you see hundreds, Fergus?
Tens.
Tens. Yeah, wonderful. So you can see strings and the little intricately woven nets created by the tropical tent web spider. It's completely still this morning. It's just gorgeous. Right, we can start moving again. NVP, yes, we see many scarpion here, or scorpions. They are found, unsurprisingly, under logs and under rocks. Oh, there's some nyala right here. And they're also found in the tent sometimes, where we do some of our broadcasting. And in fact, this is the only place that I've been stung by a scorpion. It stinged me on my elbow, and I said the F word a few times, which was very non-you, but I'm sure you'll excuse me. It was very, very painful indeed.
Fantastic.
Yes, it's fantastic. That's the F word that I used. But there are lots of different kinds of scorpions, most of them pretty harmless. They will give you a nasty nip, but they're not medically dangerous. There is one pretty dangerous scorpion out here, known as Parabuthus transvalicus, and I actually found one of him in my bed one morning. I got up, turned the sheet over, and he was lying next to me. How I wasn't stung, I don't know, but it was one of those moments where every piece of skin develops a goosebump. Shivers start racing down the nervous system, all the way from the brain to the tips of the toes and fingers and nose and tongue. And I'm sure many of you are having that feeling as we speak.
How hard it was for us to put it there.
Yes, I'm sure it was very hard for you to put it there, Fergus. Thank you for confessing finally. I knew it was somebody trying to have a go at us. I must just point out a wonderful sight of the awesome scene of Herbert, brilliant example of humanity walking along there, and he is walking along with Xoli. Say that when you just got up in the morning. Xoli is an intern who's doing a little bit of work with us for the next 2 weeks. So if you see him, well, that's who he is. Here's this young Nyala bull who's extremely confiding. And of course he's probably confiding because he lives so close to camp, which means he's used to human beings, and none of us have ever tried to stab him or snare him or shoot him, and so he's decided that we're not actually so terrifying, and he doesn't mind being around us, which is always a great honour. Right, he's disappearing into the sunrise, in amongst the lovely gossamer webs of the tropical tent web spider. Let us head back to Tristane now and find out what it is that he has found.
We are gazing upon a beautiful sunrise that is slowly filtering through the trees, and so David said we should do an artistic moving shot to show how the sun glints as you drive along and kind of comes through all of the trees. So this is David's mastery at work. I'm trying to drive steady, but you know, that's not very easy on the road that we're on. It gets quite kind of bumpy. But anyway, we're on Mvubu Road at the moment. We've been sitting and just listening out, trying to see if we can hear this leopard call again. So far nothing. You can hear lions roaring though, but it sounds like all very far north, up against sort of Jacana and or Manileti boundary basically, for both sets that are roaring. It sounds like two different sets. So unfortunately I don't think there are any lions on our side. I think even the tracks that we saw have gone northwards or westwards and out of our area. So hopefully this leopard will call again, because that's kind of our most solid lead at the moment. Not that it's an issue. It's, you know, well, like I say, we're enjoying our morning so far. It's such a beautiful morning this morning. It is a bit crisp and cold, but the sunlight is going to come soon, and I have a funny feeling it's going to be a warm day today. I think we're probably going to get to the 30s today. I don't know. I mean, I might be wrong, but it could potentially be that way. So hopefully it will be, and we'll get a nice warm kind of start and maybe a nice hot afternoon. Hot afternoons are always good because you just hang around waterholes, as we saw yesterday. I mean, you look at how much was at Gallagher Pan and Vuatela Little Pan. Really a lot of things that came down from both sides. Now, I don't find any tracks for a leopard though anywhere to the north of Gallagher Pan. I know Herbie and James are out on foot, and so maybe they'll come across something. I just have not found anything myself. I keep seeing a lot of hyena tracks and a lot of elephant tracks, but very little else in the form of a spotty cat. There's not much going at this stage. It's not to say we won't find something. You know how these cats can turn up at any point at any time. So I'm just slowly kind of worming on my way along towards, we're just coming up towards Gari Dam Wall, and we're going to carry on along Central, and I'm then going to take Vulture's Nest, I think, and we'll head kind of southwards and see if we can pick up any tracks on that area. But I suspect that this could be Tingana that's calling, and he might be calling in one of those drainage lines to the north of Gallagher, which is going to make it very difficult to find him unless he decides to walk on a pathway and we can actually pick up a track. But we've got the best in the business in the terms of Herbie, who's going to be obviously walking around as well, and so he'll pick up anything if there is anything. Are those mating go-away birds? No, they just landed on a branch together and the one almost toppled the other one. So at one point there was just feathers and tails in the air, and it's because out of the entire big tree that there is there, these two have to land on the exact same branch side by side. Let's see if they do it again. Well, close enough, wasn't it? They kind of like to be near one another. Yes, there we go. Look, right next to each other. I wonder if there's a bit of courting going on here, and there's a bird that's trying to, or maybe a young one. Difficult to see exactly with these guys. They both all look like adults, all three of those birds, and they're all grey go-away birds, every single one of them. But at least there definitely seems as though there's interest in that particular one. So I wonder if there's a little mating session that's about to take place. Off they go into the distance and to go and gaze upon the sunrise and stare into each other's eyes and whisper sweet nothings. Not that a grey go-away bird ever whispers anything. It's rather loud and very, very obnoxious in terms of its sound. Good. Let's carry on. It's now that we've completely ruined the sunrise date before our grey go birds. Let's carry on and see what else we can find. Now, we haven't had much success in terms of what we've actually set out to look for this morning, but Jamie Patterson once again has had lots of success and has found, well, her favorite animal that she spends most of her time with in the form of the hyenas up in the Masai Mara.
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't really setting out to look for hyenas, but I appear to have found them right on North Clan's northern boundary with the Olololo clan. Well, I think it's the Olololo clan, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure that... So we're at a camp called Dorisha, and this is the boundary of North Clan's territory as I understand it. We should be able to figure out if this is North Clan or not. See, the problem... Oh, hello. There we go. There's one in front. The problem is that looks like... I don't know who that is. What I was about to say is that I recognize North Clan in relation to other North Clan members. So I recognize individuals by their spot patterns, but I don't necessarily know and I would get it 100% if I were to look at them. You see, I'm sure this is North Clan. What are you lot up to? These two could easily be siblings, or they're just close in age. They're playing in the road. Got your leg, got your leg. Pull you around by your leg. There's a whole load of them. Having a wonderful time. Gentle play invitations. Jen, it's a combination of mud and genetics. So Jen's wondering why some hyenas are darker than others. In this case, the one on the left is slightly damper than the one on the right, hence why it's darker. But you do find that hyenas tend to be to different colour. Some are more red, some are paler, some are darker in colour. And I find it's not always genetic, but I find that you can usually look at a hyena and see if it's related to the one next to it. Oh, that's a bit of a generalization. I find when I know if they're related to each other, I can see the levels of relationship. That one's been rolling in mud, though, or in muddy water, and we're gone into North Clan territory. I'll go and check who they are. Ladybird in the Mara, it's really difficult to say exactly. Where'd the stork go? Oh, there, it's gone all the way over there now. Got distracted by the hyenas. I actually stopped for a saddle-billed stork, but it's gone all the way to the waterbuck. Ladybird, how many hyena clans are there in the Mara? The Mara's a big place. It would be impossible for me to tell you. In the 60,000 hectares of the Mara Triangle, you're probably looking at around about 7 or 8. Actually, maybe even more, because we're not too sure exactly how the boundary clans are divided. So within the area that we know of, I think that the Governor's clan is different to the Olololo clan. Then we've got North Clan, South Clan, Happy Zebra clan, Happy Valley clan, the Border clan, Salt Lick clan, and presumably a Kishanga clan. So in the Mara, it's difficult to say. In the Mara Triangle, I would guess at around about 8, maybe even 10. The thing is that only 3 of them are researched, and we don't spend enough time to get a good idea. Another one of these beautiful swampy areas, waterbuck, of course, I love them. There's lots of them around. There's a big, dark, mature male. Much darker in colour than the almost russet-coloured females. Some egrets. The black-headed herons are here. There's all... and the frogs again. So we find ourselves sort of at a deja vu point. Very similar to yesterday. It's nice to see a saddle-billed stork. You don't see them that often out here. Or at least we don't stop for them that often. Frogs are actually almost overwhelming. For the herons, this is utopia. Lots of fish, lots of frogs, lots of things to eat. And what that means is creeping up once they've spotted something. Slowly. Don't disturb the water too much. Nope. On to the next place. Stalking through, using sharp eyesight to spot things. Of course, having sharp eyesight to spot things is all important, especially if you're on foot in the bush.
Well, yes, I try and see through my aging eyes. What I can not see, but I can hear, is Tingana calling not far from where we are. We're just going to see if maybe Tristan wants to come into this area, because if we do see him on foot, he's going to run. We know that he doesn't like seeing people on foot. We'll just stick our heads up through here. You think so? That big termite mound, you can see Herbert is now categorically telling us where he is. He's sitting on top of a termite mound, not far from here. We'll just stick our heads out of the bush. It's unlikely we'll see him, but maybe we'll be lucky. He might be heading this way. Oh, Alyssa, the reason the termite mounds are bigger here than they are in the Mara is because this is a better place than the Mara. That's why. That's obviously nonsense, Alyssa. It's got entirely to do with the soil type. So here, the soil is very sandy, and that means that it's much deeper down to the root, and not the root, down to the water table. He's calling in the little riverbed to the north of us here. Let's just try to walk slowly along here. I don't think you would have heard that. So Alyssa, down up in the Mara, it's black cotton soils, much thicker, much more waterlogged. And the more waterlogged a soil is, the lower the mounds are going to be. Here, much deeper to get to the water table, so in order to get water into the mounds, the termites have to build much bigger mounds. Let's just see if we don't hear him again. As I say, I don't know how many of you have been with us when we've seen Tingana on foot. I'm not sure if we've ever actually caught him on camera on foot. I don't know that we have. We often see him, and then he just disappears into the bush. He's not like Hosanna, who when you see will stop, turn around, look, and wait for a while and see. Here's something here. There's a hyena coming. There's a hyena sloping along. I think it's going to come out into that sunny patch over there. Here it comes. There. Got him, Ferg. There's a hyena, also probably looking for Tingana. Just seen us. Looking as if to say, what are you doing over there? Sloping off with a great deal of confidence. All right, I can hear the racing engine of Tristan. Well, I think it's the car he's driving rather than Tristan himself, and he's on his way to us.
We are indeed, James. We're on the way to you. James has just pulled me off fresh tracks of my own. So I was on tracks for Hosanna, but they say they can hear Tingana here. And I don't know how far Hosanna is because his tracks look like he's being chased around by hyenas all over the place. So he's going kind of eastwards at the moment from close to Gari Cut Line. So I wonder if maybe Herbie and James want to go follow up there once we're done here. But it looks like he had a busy night himself, but the tracks that I had for Hosanna are very fresh. They're on top of various animals that I saw earlier in the morning, so they hopefully will be found somewhere around there. I wonder if he hasn't gone down into the Mulwati again, but it looked like he was going east, which means he could be Buffelshoek Dam area, he could be anywhere like that. Now earlier when I was at Gallagher Pan, we had a whole bunch of birds alarm calling, and I drove around here, couldn't find anything, no sign of any tracks, and now Tingana starts calling from here again. It's typical with him that he does these kind of things. He's got these secret underground tunnels that he's walking at the moment when he's north of the pan. Once he gets to the pan, then he's like a show pony and he sits right out in the open. Now, I'm not sure where these guys want us to go, but I just want to ask Herbie quickly. So we'll come down towards where they are. Hopefully they can actually see where he is. Now you'll notice with James that there is another gentleman there. It's the same gentleman that we saw yesterday morning at the tent. Is doing training and having a little look around and learning from James Henry himself. Ah, yeah. Hello. Hello. Hello, Herbie. It's 1-0. Huh? Where do you think?
From a Galago shortcut and check there by Big Scotia.
Okay.
It sounds like it's moving
That way.
Yeah, we're from the in here and
Okay.
just the way.
Okay, guys.
Any more punctures today, Tristan?
No, I'm still gaffer taped up. I'm all good for now. I think you?
You have shown everybody, have you?
Yes.
Punctures.
This is what happens when you follow Hosanna. You have one. Just there. You see, these jackets are not puncture proof, that's for sure.
As David did point out, that at least your jacket is black.
Exactly. No, the black gaffer tape on the red does not go well. No, not at all.
Okay. Good
Okay.
luck.
Thank
All the
you.
best.
If you guys want to go follow up, there's also very fresh tracks on Hosanna. Yeah.
I'll make it 1 million and then
Well, it's fine. I'm coming for you now. Now we're here together. So Herbie and I have a competition as to who can find the leopards faster every day. And then it's a soccer score that we give each other. So yesterday it was 12-1 to me, which then Herbie laughed at because he said, no, that's not fair. Because I said I counted the 11 Inkahumas and one leopard in the form of Tingana, and he had obviously Hosanna. So we made it, and then he said, no, that's not fair. So I said, okay, that's fine. We don't have to do 12-1 then. So now we're on to the new scoreboard today, and so we'll see. So he's just saying now he's going to make it 1-0 by finding Tingana before I do. So I said to him, nope, this is going to be interesting to see who finds him first. I have a funny feeling that we're both in for a tough time here, because where he's walking is not going to be very easy at all. But we'll try, we'll see. Hopefully they get audio of him again, because if he calls one more time, then it's going to make my life a lot easier, so that I can also just roughly understand where he is. He said with the Scotia, so I know where he's talking about, but it's quite dense in there, so unless he's on the road, it's going to be quite difficult. But you know what? Adversity is always good. It makes you sharper. There's Nyala. Sorry, Nyala, we're going to bypass you for now, because time is of the essence with calling leopards. They don't call for much longer. Once the sun is up like this, they start to slow down. What is calling a lot is the lions. The lions are very vocal this morning, just in the north. Right, now I'm going to quickly just jump around onto the other side here and go north up Gallagher shortcut as per Herbie's suggestion. And so while I do that, let's send you back across to Jamie Patterson, who's probably loving the fact that she's spending the morning with her clan. And I wonder if the Olololo pride is going to pop out.
Find on foot. He runs away. Now, we have found some jacanas, and I think it's quite appropriate to talk about feet, because that's my favourite part of a jacana. Because of all the birds in all the world, jacanas have some of the funniest toes. Look carefully at their feet. Of course it makes sense. I mean, they run around on top of lily pads and various water plants, so they need as big a surface area on their foot as possible. But they're not webbed because they don't swim, so they've got these extraordinarily long toes that they spread out and use to distribute their weight. And being a bird, of course, and being a flight bird, they are very light indeed, but it still gives them the most ridiculous feet. And when they fly, they sort of dangle behind them. One of the few birds where the female actually takes advantage of the male. And in fact, birds are quite good. Birds generally, about 95% or over 90%, are monogamous in some way, whether it's seasonal or for life. But jacanas are not. A jacana female will come along, mate with a male, lay the eggs, and off she goes. And it becomes his responsibility to look after them. And she'll move on to the next male, and so on. Very, very rare in the animal kingdom that the female doesn't invest all that much in the care of her offspring. Cuckoos do it, of course, but cuckoos do it, they don't hand it over to the male, they just hand it over to another poor, unsuspecting bird species. So they're doing exactly what the herons were doing, but just on a smaller scale. Kishi? There are not that many flightless birds, to be honest. You say, why are there so many flightless birds? All of the birds that we have looked at today can fly. Each and every single one of the ones that we've seen today, including these jacanas. Why are there so many ground-dwelling birds? Well, that's where there is a vast amount of food, particularly in these swampy areas, so it makes sense for the birds to spend a lot of time on the ground or in the water searching for food. The only flightless bird that we have here in Kenya is the ostrich. There is one other flightless bird found in South Africa, as well as the ostrich, and that is a penguin. So all of the other birds are flightless. We actually have the heaviest flying bird here, which is the Kori bustard, which we will try and find for you, but I don't know that will be successful. I haven't seen many this side of the river. But jacanas can fly, storks can fly, herons can fly. It just so happens that there's a high concentration of food on the ground, and because it's rained so much, we stop in quite often at these marshy patches to show you the different species, because they attract really interesting species, like the rufous-bellied heron that we saw yesterday. Okay. James, Rich, and I agree. I'd love to actually see some jacana chicks around here, but I think these ones are almost fully grown. Clown feet. These giant flappy claws. It seems ridiculous that they should be saddled with such absurd feet. Makes sense, but... and watching them run is also very, very entertaining. It's still very... rain. Joy, I'm actually not sure in terms of the size difference between male and female jacanas. I think the male might be slightly bigger, but I actually honestly have no idea. I can double check for you, and I will double check for you because I've got the bird info here. It's a good question, because one sort of thinks about size differences between the various birds. Birds of prey, usually the female is bigger. Cranes, the male is bigger. I think the male's jacana is probably slightly bigger, but that's a good question, because it's not always a guarantee in birds. The road is still quite wet, unfortunately. I don't know if we're going to manage to get to the den. It's a pity, because the mornings are the best times. It's when the cubs are the most active. Let me see what it looks like. Otherwise we'll go to the crossings, which have been dead quiet, by the way. Tell you a secret. When we first arrived here, Brent must have hit that ditch at least 6 times while I was on his vehicle, at high speed. You start to memorize every inch of a road when you drive it often enough. Whee! I'll tell you another secret, actually. If you can keep a secret, you're not allowed to tweet about it, because otherwise you'll find out. I've got Brent's birthday cake sitting in a box next to me in the footwell. I don't know how it's going to survive a full day. I'm hoping to tell him that I've got stuck and then he must come rescue me and then surprise him. But I don't know what the cake's gonna look like at that point. Wouldn't fit in a cooler box. Could be a little slidey. We'll see. He doesn't even really eat cake. So while I proceed with extreme caution, I'm sure James is doing the same.
I think the thought of a toe jam flavoured birthday cake is just really superb. Toe jam, diesel and Mara Dusk flavoured birthday cake. Oh, bad luck, Ferg. Fergus is on the ground now. He tripped over this extremely large stick here. Look at it. It's absolutely huge. That was very unfortunate, Fergus. It's very heavy, and I can see how. Right. Come on, then. Would you like a hand up? There we go. Anyway. I'm sure Brent will like his birthday cake regardless. We have had some Franklin's alarm calling around here. We haven't found any tracks. Here's a track, actually. There we are. The male leopard. We're in one of my favourite places to walk because there are no roads in here, which makes it a disaster for driving into, but it's really fun for walking. And Tingana and Hosanna, Tandi and Shalam have spent quite a lot of time in here over the last little while. I'm going to proceed with caution towards a large termite mound here. Now I must reiterate that we're proceeding with caution because we're not because we're worried that Tingana will attack us at all, but simply because when he sees people on foot, he generally just disappears. It's because he takes such a no-risk approach to life that he's lived as long as he has. I'm interested that he's spending so much time in this area also. He hasn't been down south into Chitwa, which is the reserve to the south of us, for such a long time. And I guess, look, it's typical that a male leopard's territory should shrink as he gets older. But something's keeping him up here. I wonder if it's Hosanna's presence. I wonder if it is perhaps Hukumuri coming in from time to time to mark his territory. Maybe it's just that he's eating so much here with Tandi and Tlalamba around. Perhaps there's a hint that Tandi's coming back into estrus. Wouldn't be impossible. You can see Herberto in front of us, just listening every so often. Alright, let's go back to Janie, who's got what's known as a feathered friend. Hopefully she won't put any of its feathers in Brent Leo Smith's birthday cake.
Look at this. We've got something very pretty to show you. A striking female batelier sitting on a gardenia tree. And one hardy-dar flying away. And it was looking at its feet as though it had something pinned beneath its talons, but now I don't think that it actually does. I really thought she was sort of the way that fish eagles do when they catch themselves a big fish, and they stand and look at it for a while before they attempt to or break it up into chunks. They're such pretty birds. Batelier, or short-tailed snake eagle. The clue there being the bald legs. And they do hunt snakes. They also hunt rodents. They also scavenge, and in fact are usually one of the first birds at the site of a carcass in normal circumstances. I'm not sure I would say that that's true here during the massive death of the migration. I think the vultures pretty much are ever present. But under normal circumstances, they're usually one of the first birds to arrive, and actually often give away leopard kills, because they fly lower than something like a vulture, and leopards, of course, hide their kills either on the ground under trees or in trees. But battaliers are usually the first to spot them, along with tawny eagles, and they move in to scavenge off them the minute the leopard goes off for a drink. Sometimes actually knocking the kill out of a tree, and therefore feeding it to the hyenas. Very, very easy bird to identify, unless it's a juvenile, and even then, a juvenile battalier, while it might be brown, still has the poofy head. They've got very poofy heads. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm sure there is a better way. Fluffy, puffy, crested would maybe be better, but it's not really a crest, it's more of a fluffy mane of feathers. What are you looking at? She's looking at something. How do I know it's a she? For our new viewers, of course, there is a band of white along the tips of her primaries, so that's what tells me that it is a female and not a male battalier. One of the few where you can actually tell. Body language is strange. Maybe she just can't balance properly on that gardenia. That's also a possibility. Doesn't look very comfortable, to be fair. Or is there something down there? Having spoken about the fact that they're the first to find carcasses. Nah, there's no way on earth a leopard would drag a carcass round here and try and keep it safe. I mean, this is North Clan Central. This is the equivalent of the downtown suburb that the classier predators don't go to, because the hyenas are always here. And I say that with great affection. I'm merely mocking the perception. Yeah, I'm merely mocking the perception of hyenas. There's no way. Surely there's no way a leopard would have brought a kill here. Let's move a little bit and just see. Unfortunately, I can't drive there on suspicion of something. I need something slightly more to go on. Yeah, a leopard would do very nicely. No, I think she's just there. Lion. I see a lion. Rima, where are all the leopards in the Mara Triangle? They're around. We don't spend all that much time focusing on leopards. Can you see it? That's behind the vehicle. There we go. Now, who on earth are you? That looks like one of the young boys that Tristan saw stalking the Magoro females a while ago, which would make him one of the marsh breakaway boys. Now, James, without knowing this, when he first came to the Masai Mara, saw these males when they were still young and with the pride, but at that point we weren't sure exactly which pride was which. We were getting a lot of mixed information. Now we know. I'm almost certain that it's him. He's just got that look, but then where's the other one? Because there are two of them. Unless his buddy didn't make it. Migration, moving through an area like this. I'm almost certain it's him. Tristan took a beautiful photograph of it, and in fact I think it's been on social media. Sort of a young male standing proud, staring at the camera, looking quite intimidating. I wonder if this is him. Looks like him. don't know if it's him, but I think, just to reiterate, I think he is a marsh breakaway male. So there are three. A couple of years ago, Lips, what was her name? Lippy? Famous one. Along with Jicho, Kili and Akini, and another female, broke away from the Marsh Pride and crossed the river and set up shop next to Little Governors. Now, we've seen them on occasion. And James, when he first came to the Mara, before we actually set up our camp at the end of 2016, saw the males when they were still young enough to be with their pride, but we didn't know who they were. Now we do, but now I'm not sure if this is them or not. The last time they were seen, they were in a tree on the border. But I'm sure that Tristan's seen this male. I saw the photographs stalking the Magoro females in this area. Where are you going, mister? This is going to be very difficult to follow. I just want to see if he's going to cross this lugger or not. It will determine whether or not I go around. Jamie the lion and the lugger. Where is that in real life? I've lost track of it. Yes, very sort of C.S. Lewis-y. Jamie the lion and the lugger. If C.S. Lewis ever came to visit Kenya, there'd be an allegory somewhere in there. Which way should we go? Let's see if we can get a closer view. Sarah, it is possible for prides to rejoin once they've split. Possible, but quite unlikely. It depends on the reason for the split. They might just have been separated for a little while. When prides get too big, sometimes the females mate with different males. They have cubs by different males. The ones with older cubs move away. And it becomes a semi-permanent thing. And then what we saw with the Awinos is that after a while, that level of tolerance for each other actually goes. And prides end up fighting with each other, where once they were completely united. But yes, I'm sure it's possible for them to... Oh my goodness. Hello. Oh, okay. This changes matters, and I'll tell you why. Not because we can't get through here, but because I'm not sure how much damage we're going to do off-roading. Let's see. Ready? Let's hope Brent's birthday cake doesn't get wet. Doesn't get wet. Doesn't get wet. Eee! Not too bad. It's a little bit mushy. Okay, now, with failing deflock, up we go. I'm going to try and find the road that I know leads to this lion. So, as I attempt to do that, which I think it's over there, let's go and join James on foot, because it's much easier walking around.
Well, what we found here is something that may well be on Brentley Smith's birthday cake. It is a vanilla vermicelli. Isn't that nice? Look at this delicious vanilla vermicelli that we found here in the wilderness. Now, you might ask yourself, why is there vanilla vermicelli on the floor? And the question, or the answer, would be not entirely sure. From my point of view, it's wood, basically, and given its shape, I suspect that it has come through the digestive tract of some sort of invertebrate. And I think that invertebrate is currently living in the stem of this Capparis tomentosa bush here. Bush is a strong term, twig is a better term, and it's hollowed out the inside of this rather remarkable, well, I mean, the plant isn't remarkable, but the hole it's made is remarkable, and it's hollowed out this woolly caper bush, which is the common name, and it's left its vermicelli here. Now, I wonder if this isn't perhaps the larva of some sort of wood-boring beetle. So it would be a small worm-like grub that has eaten its way down to the safety at the base somewhere around here of this Capparis bush. I'm sorely tempted to break it open and have a look. I'm not going to, because of course that will probably destroy the life of this little vanilla vermicelli chef. So this is just very fine wood, and you can see you can crush it up and it becomes a powder straight away. Isn't that amazing? So I don't know what kind of larva or grub has made it. Obviously it's wood-eating, somehow derived nutrition from the wood. I'm not sure how it would have done that, but anyway, there it is. Good. We found a few tracks of Tingana in this area, none of them from very recently this morning, definitely from this morning, but not from recently this morning. And so we're continuing on as Tristan is herring off somewhere else for a surprise, hopefully. He's not looking for Tingana anymore. You can only imagine what it is that has distracted him from searching for Tingana. Here's a nice sign of spring. I told you we'd start looking for signs of spring one day before the official first start. And this is the beginnings of the flush for the bushman's grape, or Cissus cornifolia, otherwise known in Afrikaans as a horse's urine, which is of course not a particularly impressive name. Perdipus is what it's called, Fergus. Yeah, the horse's urine plant. Well, I suppose that's what it smells like, so, well, why not call it what it is? Spade is spade and all that. Right, Tristan is driving at a great speed. There's only one reason he'd be driving at a great speed. Let's hope he gets there. Now.
Well, we are indeed, James. We're doing rates of knots, trying to get to where we need to be. I'm just trying to find where Rex is, and we're both trying to find the wild dogs is what we're actually both trying to do. But they ran to Buffelshoek Dam. They're not at Buffelshoek Dam anymore, and so now I'm trying to find out where they've gone from there. We can't find anything going to the south, so I think they must be just very close to the boundary, I mean to the kind of fire break area here, because they didn't go anything, I mean, away from the dam wall. So I'm just trying to search on this northern side. Should be able to pick them up quite quickly if they're moving. They generally have these little bouncy white tails that makes it quite easy to see them. So I'm hoping that we're going to find them here somewhere shortly. It's just a bit rough. Okay, right, now just want to talk to Rex quickly. Rex, just confirm that's that small little road that runs from the fire break. Right, now we're winning. Seems like Rex has found them, so let's see, maybe we're gonna get this right. Now I'm gonna go back the way I've just come, by the sounds of things, which is typical with wild dogs. You do a lot of this, where you're just going like this. So Jen, who's in final control, is the last drive that she is going to be with us. She said she'd be amped to see wild dogs for her last drive. Well, hopefully, Jen, we will find them somewhere here. It will be very cool if we do find them. And Faith is also actually with me, and so Faith is also never seen wild dogs in her life before, so hopefully we'll be able to find them. just testing Wendy out a little bit, just seeing how she does. She's not quite rusty in terms of her speed, but she does alright. She's a little bit more slow and steady than Rusty is. Rusty is a wild hooligan, which for wild dog chasers is much fun because you can kind of throw the hammer down with Rusty a little bit, which is always quite fun. Now hopefully we're going to find where Rex is. He's saying he's on this small road that runs from the dam to the fire break, which is this one coming up just on our left hand side now. So I'm hoping that we're on the right place, otherwise we're going to be a very, very long way away from where he's supposed to be, because otherwise he's at the road where I just turned around, which hopefully is not the case. Dogs are always like this though, you kind of got to go back and forth and round, and eventually you get it right and you kind of find them, but hopefully they're not moving too quickly. So guessing this is the road that Rex is talking about. I don't see him though, I don't see Rexon at all, and I don't see any dogs if I'm honest. I also don't see his vehicle tracks, which typically means that he's not actually here. He must be on the other side of the dam, on the other road, which is the road that we were supposed to be on. Now I can hear Rex coming. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Rex, I took this little road that comes from the fire break to the dam, but I don't see you. Copy that, yeah. I figured it must be that one then. Alright, cool, thank you. So just talking to Rex. We'll get around there now. It's not going to take us too long to get to where he wants me to be. We're just going to do it the roundabout way. Well, not the roundabout way, but the most efficient way that I can think of. Now, hopefully we're not too far from where he is. It's difficult to know how far Rex is on this road, but we'll hopefully catch up fairly shortly. Sorry, David. Hard work chasing wild dogs. I forgot about how much you have to drive around when you follow these guys. Now, hopefully, we're on the right track now. This is the one that I'm pretty sure Rexon meant at first, and then he kind of changed his mind and said no, he's on a different road, which is why we went back to that little one. But this is, I'm sure, is the right one. Hopefully we should see him, I would imagine, very close to the road, because he said he found them close to the road. So problem is the way that they're going is towards the boundary, so I'm worried that we're behind them and we're not actually going to catch up with them at all during this thing, which is sometimes how it goes with these guys. So we've got to all cross fingers that they're not going to cross out away from us. Now, I believe a lot of you are enjoying the roller coaster ride. I can actually see Rex now, which is good news. And I can assure you that as much as I'm enjoying it, I'm pretty sure David on the back is not enjoying it as much. David, are you enjoying our roller coaster this one? Now, I'm just going to try and get round. So just wanted to get through a little thicket here. They are kind of back away towards the road, but it's just a lot easier to come in from this angle than it was going to be from the other angle. So I just wanted to get here. Theoretically, there should be wild dogs somewhere in this general vicinity. Not that we see too many of them at the moment. Oh, there they are. They're on a kill. That's why they're so stationary. No wonder. So there's one wild dog that's busy eating. I don't know if there's any others, but there's definitely one that's having a little feed. And what it's eating, I'm not quite sure. It looks very small, so it must have maybe grabbed something like a scrub hare or maybe a little steenbok or something like that. And their tummies are not even bulging, so whatever it is, it must have been quite small. Now, David, I'm going to go forward for you a little bit. so that you can see them a little bit better, because there is no, wait, she's going to come right here. It looks like just two that I can see, which is interesting, and it looks like there's a female in front here and then the male at the back, so it's got to be, I wonder, I think there must be three. I can see the guys are looking also that way, so I think what we've probably got here is one of the low Sabi males and the two Investec breakaway females that we have, and they've been spending quite a bit of time around this area. Hello guys, it's been a long time since I've seen you guys. Very, very cool to see them again. You can see, even though they've eaten, they're still kind of in fast forward mode. They're still running around like crazy and doing their thing. And so, James, you were saying earlier you wanted to see wild dogs. Well, your luck is on your side, because there we go, wild dogs for you. Excellent. Right, now they're off again, as they generally are. And so here we go, trying to kind of keep up with them through Hades' gauntlet of notes. It's going to be thick, it's going to be difficult, but we're going to try and put Wendy to the test. There's a nice open clearing here, which should theoretically make life a little bit easier. The problem is that there's also about a bazillion aardvark holes in this area too, and elephant diggings, and so that makes it quite tough. But you can see how a wild dog can cover ground. Look at how quickly they've left us behind already. They're quite far in front. It's not quite like following lions and leopards that just kind of amble along and take it very easy. These guys are super quick in the way that they run, and it makes life very difficult at times. So we're going to try and kind of keep up with them. Now, Willie, yes, that's their favorite thing to do. They love when you throw a frisbee at them and they can chase it. They absolutely love chasing frisbees. So, you know, sometimes when we want to see the wild dogs, we'll just pack a few frisbees and just randomly throw them out all over the place as we go. And then people, you know, then the dogs come running to the frisbees and we don't actually have to look that hard. No, they probably would not chase a frisbee. They don't even know what a frisbee is, I don't think. I mean, maybe the movement might attract them, but I doubt that they would actually do anything. They're not trained to go after frisbees, that's for sure. I'm trying to kind of keep up with them, but it's easier said than done when they trotty like this. It makes life, well, quite difficult. And the last time I drove through here was quite some time ago, so I've got to try and remember now where all the little hidden pathways are. It's not a friendly area at some point. I know it gets a lot thicker than this, and we're very, very close now to the Torchwood boundary, so unfortunately we're going to have to probably let them go soon. We're going to try kind of keep up with them. We're going to have to go this way. So, Peter, there's a number of reasons as to why they're so endangered. One is that they suffer heavily from diseases that they contract from domestic dogs, and so as populations increase, so people move into areas where there are dogs, and they then, you know, bring along their domestic animals, which then these guys get distemper and rabies and those kind of things from them. So that's a vast kind of majority of the issues that they have. The other problems is that they're persecuted because of their efficient hunting style. They're not really welcome in farmed areas, because otherwise, you know, they get themselves into a bit of trouble, and they kind of then get poisoned and all kinds of other things. And then on top of that, you've also got habitat loss. So they're large roaming animals. They're not as confined as something like, let's say, a leopard or lions. These guys will move major distances in order to try and kind of find the food that they need and survive. So, you know, it means that unfortunately their habitat loss is also causing that, and then they just have a naturally high mortality. Puppies are killed by a number of different predators. The way that they use a central den, often that den starts to smell, which means that you get things like lions, hyenas, leopard finding them quite regularly and killing them. There's also birds of prey that take them. Right, so now we're going to lose them in the next 2 seconds because they're about to cross cheetah cut line, which is not ideal. So there they go. Hopefully they're going to stop on the road for 2 seconds so we can get one last view. Doesn't look like it. It looks like they're on an absolute mission. So there we go. Slow down, everybody. But that's the last I think we're going to see of them. They're going to trot off into Torchwood. So it was a brief but excellent sighting of the doggies. Now they're running a little bit north now, so hopefully they'll stay on our side. But it's definitely just the three. I don't see any signs of the fourth male. That's the one that was calling so much and around in this area for quite a while. Now you see this is the male that's busy sniffing and looking around, and I wonder if he might scent mark. There we go. So typical of a dog, when they scent mark, this is how they do it. I'm surprised that there's not a female that's not doing the same thing. Now there goes that dog, and that's the end of that, guys. I'm afraid we don't have access to Torchwood today as far as I know, and that means we unfortunately are going to watch the doggies disappearing into the long grass and doing their telltale wild dog bounce as they go and moving off and away from us. Also, 2 Juma vehicles are there, and so even if we did have access to Torchwood, we wouldn't be able to cross with them. That was quite something. Wild dogs are always chaos, to be honest. Well done, Wendy. You did good, considering the terrain you just drove through at the rate you just drove through it. So well done. Hopefully Wendy won't collapse now as I get onto the road. And so while I figure out where we're going to go from here, let's send you back across to Jamie up in the Masai Mara, who I think is having a far more relaxed start to her morning.
Oh, well done, Tristan, for finding the wild dogs. We've had a hyena, but now she's gone again. We didn't lose the lion so much as we couldn't actually follow it. He went into basically a swamp. He went straight into a swamp. We couldn't follow him without doing serious damage to the environment, so I turned around and moved back onto the road. And even the road is an absolute mess. But since I was here anyway, I thought we'd pop in and see Waffles, who has now gone into her favourite spot, right down, it's not underground, but it looks like it's underground. I really thought they would have moved dens after all of this rain. Obviously they know something that we don't. It was her. Let's have a look around this way. Let's see if we can get another view. I think we're a bit too late. I found with Waffles and the cubs the best time is around about 6. That's when she comes back, and that's when they're at their most active. But there's no way we would have made it here at that point. No. I don't know, Brad. I honestly have no idea how Waffles' cubs are doing. This is the first time I've been back since the dramatics of the other day, with the death of poor polar bear's cub, and I honestly have not seen, I haven't been back here since because of the weather. It has been absolutely pouring since then, and it's made the road almost impassable. So this is the first time that I've been back. I didn't come early because I wanted to give the road some time to dry. And I assume the fact that she's there, the fact that she's down in that particular patch of grass, means that the cubs are probably alive and well. We just can't see them at all, unfortunately. It seems so exposed, this dead site, to the elements. The tunnels are so open. Now you can start to hear the Mara wind. It's back again. Every day. It was nice and still this morning, but this place just never stops blowing. So I'm sorry, our lion has actually wandered off and escaped us. Now I'm not sure what to do. I don't know whether to wait and see if Waffles does come out. We've got no other view of anything. Or to just leave it. And see, I'm trying to see if I can spot something else to talk about while we sit here. I don't see a thing. Not one thing. There's not even an elephant around. It's completely devoid of life. Not quite true. I mean, the view that we have is completely devoid of life. So I guess we'll leave her rather than sit and talk about grass. No, Robin, I have never seen a hyena without spots unless you count the cubs. The little cubs don't have spots yet. So, yes, actually, I have seen a hyena without spots. I've never seen an adult hyena without spots, though. That much I can tell you. Okay, Waffles. Bye-bye. But no, I've never seen a hyena without spots. Even the leucistic hyenas, I believe, have faint spots on them. So there's a couple of leucistic hyenas on the border with Tasmania that I've never seen, and I'm very jealous of Brent because he has seen them. And I would really, really love to see them. But I believe even they have spots. Leucism is not a well-favoured gene out here. It's not something that expresses itself often. Okay, I'm gonna go search for something else to show you since Waffles is not cooperating and we don't want to stare at grass for too long. For while we navigate the mushy road, let's send you back across to Bushwalk.
Right, hello everybody, welcome back to the Bushwalk. We found something fascinating. It's a jacket, stolen by hyenas from somewhere or other, not sure where. We'll have to take it back to the camp. It's a pretty unpleasant looking jacket. I don't think I'd wear it.
Will you be wearing it this afternoon on drive, yes?
I don't think I will be wearing it on drive. Do you think I should, Fergus?
You should. As a parting gift to me.
As a parting gift to you, I should wear this on drive. It is quite something, this jacket. Right, the big update of the morning so far is that Tundi and Tlalambas tracks are in this area. We found hair from a nyala's tail. We did find a lot of nyala as well. But it seems like they've been circling around here and have probably therefore been on a kill for the last little while here, which would explain why we haven't seen their tracks. It would also explain why Tingana persists up here. And it wouldn't surprise me if he'd stolen their kill. And so we're just sort of gingerly walking up and down here, seeing if we can't find some sign of either of them. There are lots of nyala around here at the moment. Would also explain why we saw that hyena earlier on. Again, it's one of those mornings where one just feels you're just a little bit behind the 8-ball. There's an arrow-marked babbler there. I'm not sure if you can see it there, Fergus. No, you can't at the moment. Okay, good. Come through. We might get a look at these nyalas. They're gorgeous in here. This beautiful area. Marcy Hukumuri, a male leopard, aged, we think, roughly 6, has indeed established a territory. His territory is pretty much west of quarantine clearings, which are the clearings just outside of our camp. And they extends into Arathusa, all the way north to the northern boundary of the Sabi Sand there. And so while we've made a big thing of the competition between Hukumuri and Tingana, since Tingana's been calling over here, Hukumuri is stuck to his western domain. And although a young buck, and many people would imagine a sort of stronger, more virile fellow, he will be reticent to engage an older male and also reticent to engage in any kind of physical conflict. And so while he has a decent-sized territory of his own to the west, he's not going to worry about what's going on here. So Herbie and Polly are over there, walking along the eastern side of this riverbed. We're going to just check the western side here, see if we don't get lucky. Let us stop and have a little bit of a listen. did hear movement, and it is in fact Herbert and Polly. There's a blue waxbill. Now it's just gone. Can you see it? Flying in the bush there. Not easy on bushwalk. This is advanced camera work. Of course, Fergus is in his last act, as I said, and so, well, we should challenge him. Little blue waxbill, little blue-like finch. Okay, and then one last thing to show you, which is now hiding a crested barbet on that tree there. Gorgeous tree. Can you see it, Fergus? Mm-hmm. You can. Well done. Beautiful crested barbet. No alarm calling birds, which tells me the leopards have probably moved off from where we are here. We'll keep looking while you go across to Tristan.
Well, good luck. Hopefully you'll find what you're looking for, James. I know what it's like being inside that block with 4 billion tracks going in every direction. It can be quite taxing and quite difficult. Right, now I am on Central at the moment, and I am looking around to try and see if I can find little Hosanna cat, because he was around this area, and so, well, his tracks were coming in the direction that I'm now heading towards. So he was coming this way, I was going that way, so we'll try and see if we can find where he went. Lots and lots of tracks on the road here. You can actually see a lot of hyena tracks that have been kind of breaking the surface of the tire tracks, so there's a lot of hyena activity that's coming in and out of Torchwood. I followed the tracks, they went all the way to Torchwood. I was obviously on the boundary, so had a little look there, and it seems like they're going up and down all over, and I wonder where these hyenas are spending much of their time, because, you know, there's just so many tracks lately. It's difficult to know, and we've checked pretty much all the old den sites, and yet nothing, which means that they must be now using a new den site. They must have their somewhere, I don't know where it is, but there must be a new den site somewhere. Now it also looks like there's tracks for a leopard in this area too. Wild dogs have run here. It was pandemonium on this road last night. Now, it's not the leopard track we're looking for. This looks like Tingana's track going towards where James and Herbie are, so I don't think that would be Hosanna. It's also too big for Hosanna. These tracks are quite big, so I don't think it would be him. Now got to be careful with Hosanna, because his kind of tracks will come and then they'll just sort of dart off, and that's going to make it tricky to know exactly where the last one is, because I'm at the moment squashing tracks that are coming towards me, which is never the most ideal way to be tracking. You want to try and always be kind of behind the track, because it's much easier to drive along the track, see it, oh wait, I don't see it, stop, and then look. But if I'm driving forward, sometimes you miss tracks and then you squash all of them, and then you kind of don't pick up, especially if you don't know where that track is. If you're waiting to intercept it, it can be quite tricky. So I'm thinking that if he is around, maybe somewhere around this drainage section, this is an area that he's obviously spent some time recently, is around the Vulture's Nest, Nyala Road area, so I would imagine that he might be somewhere in this general vicinity. Nothing there. Carol, hyenas will follow the wild dogs and do steal kills quite regularly from them, but you must be a brave hyena to go and intercept wild dogs. It depends obviously how many dogs, but if you've got a pack like this, well, not so bad, but get a pack of 20 wild dogs and you'll very quickly learn why you don't want to be a hyena around 20 wild dogs, because every part of you will get bitten and sort of snapped at, and it becomes very difficult to know which direction to turn to defend yourself. So, you know, most of the time hyenas will follow the dogs just to try and kind of get some food out of them, so it's very, very, very common to find hyena tracks and wild dog tracks together. Also, when dogs kill things, they make a lot of noise, which makes it easy for the hyenas to find them. Right, now I want to be quite careful where I'm driving now, because this is where I think Hosanna would have ended up. And I can see lots of little footprints. What's going on here? Wild dog, hyena, big male leopards. None of those are what we're looking for. These are all different tracks to the ones that I'm trying to find. There's also tracks for a lion there. Alright, so while I kind of have a little look here and just double check and see what is happening, I'm going to send you back across to Jamie Patterson, and I have no idea what she's up to right now, but I'm sure whatever it is, it will be entertaining, as generally it is with Jamie.
Looking for tracks in the road, because apparently the Olololo grass or lion. Apparently the Olololo Pride came in this direction and then was seen by the balloons this morning. Grass. Where are my binoculars? I can't even tell. Aren't you where to look, because it's so tricky trying to describe termite mounds. Grass. Apologies. The lion of the Masai Mara that is the best at looking or disguising himself as grass is Scar. He can make himself next to invisible. It's unbelievable. It's a special gift he has. I don't know if it comes from his level of notoriety, perhaps. Okay, I have absolutely no idea what Emma just said, but I'm sending you somewhere to somebody's favorite friend. Sounds exciting.
We've got there some go-away birds. They're sitting above where we thought perhaps Thandi killed Nyala, ate it, possibly with Tingana's help, almost inevitably, and now we're searching, of course, for further tracks. The go-away birds are not alarm calling, which tells us, of course, that they are not within view of the leopard. They are very reliable alarm callers, are the go-away birds, and so I think we are just a little bit behind where these cats have gone. We will keep trying, however. In the meantime, I would like to show you the latest in bush fashion, haute couture. I hope you're all enjoying my new jacket. See, it matches my pants. Yes, sort of a crop top type vibe. Cropped at the back, at the front. I think it's gorgeous. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Emma says it's the mullet of jackets, and Fergus says I'm the mullet of presenters. Lucky Fergus is leaving today, otherwise I'd have to mete out some punishment with the use of my stick here. Anyway, it'll be very interesting to know what any of you thought of my jacket. I'm sure all of you are very jealous, because of course bush haute couture is, well, something I'm really good at. Brentley Smith is going to be very jealous of my jacket. Maybe I should give it to him for his birthday. He could have it with his cake. Now, also been around here, of course, was the buffalo herd from yesterday. The dung covers the ground. I'll try and pick up a piece of dung here for you to have a look at, because I know all of you love dung. There's a great dung fascination in general from all of us. And this is some of the only moisture around at the moment. And I imagine that it is going to attract the attentions of many insects. There you can see. It has already. Look at that. There's a grub from a beetle. That's the beetle larva. Can you see it, Fergus? Yes? Mm-hmm. Yes, you've got it. So there's a beetle larva that's made its way in here, into the only bit of moisture that has been around this area probably for the last 2 months or so, but for those very brief drizzly showers that we had. And so the buffalo dung will be used as its own little ecosystem. Very nice. Put that back there. Good. And over here, elephants have been foraging. Now let's just have a look and see what they've been going at. If you look carefully around here, you can see where their tracks were. There they are. And obviously this elephant has been looking for something to do with a plant. Now I can't tell what it's been eating. I think it was maybe the roots of the squarry bush. That's interesting. I've never seen them do that before. I think it was the roots of the squarry bush. And of course in winter, well, quite desperate times for elephants, coming up to the summertime. And shortly, of course, there will be a flush of leaves, but this little period until the flush of leaves on the trees begins quite difficult. And lastly, one of my favourite bushes, simply because of its name, Pyrostria hystrix, the porcupine bush. Isn't it quite fun? I'll teach you a fancy word now, Fergus. Would you like to learn a fancy word that you can take away with you? You can use it around the pub this evening when you're on the Drakensberg Mountains there. These branches are called decusate, which means that they run at 90 degrees to the main stem. You see that? They are decusate. Wonderful word there. So you could be sitting at the pub, Fergus, this evening saying, "You won't believe what I saw today. I saw a decusate branch." And, well, I'm sure the bevy of young ladies that are sitting there will be going, "Oh, decusate branch? That's amazing. Who is this fellow who has seen decusate branches?" Yes?
It's definitely going to set me up.
It is.
The intellectual elite.
Yes, the intellectual elite of Graskop.
Really take kindly to that.
Good. Okay, let's go back to Jamie. I'm going to get rid of this rather disgusting jacket now. Well, I'm going to take it off. It went on for much longer than I wanted it to, so let's go back to the Masai Mara.
I'm surprised James even put that on, really. It sounds absolutely horrible. I think I found the Olololos, but I'm not certain. I'm hoping I found the Olololos. I see a vehicle, and I also thought I saw a lion, but again, could easily have been grass. I made that mistake before. I'm very sorry, I'm putting my sunglasses back on. I know we're not allowed to do this, but I actually can't see. My eyes are so photosensitive at the moment. So please forgive me. I'm really struggling to look into the light, and I'm going to miss something if I don't have them on. So my sincerest apologies. I will take them off when I can. Let's put it that way. I really can't see otherwise. Now we'll see we're on the main road. Apparently they were seen walking along this road. Oh dear, I thought I had seen them, but it appears I was mistaken. Trying to work out where they would go. If they would go back towards the migration, or if that would put them in harm's way in terms of males. Because of course they've got all those youngsters and they're right outside of their territory. So which way would they go? Oh, here's the lion. I thought I saw a lion. Eric, you say that the trees that we're driving past are so cool. They are cool. Balanites trees. Oh, who are you? They are beautiful trees. That's what gives the Masai Mara... Oh, sorry. You actually had the better position where I was. There. The name for spotted in the local Ma language. That's what gives it its name, with all those trees. Hello. I thought I saw a lion. But now, which lion? Who are you? You don't look like an Owino. Because apparently yesterday I think I hear a call. Apparently yesterday the Owino Pride were not far from the Olololos. And the Owino little boy recently had an operation to repair an injury on his back leg. This doesn't look like one of the Olololo females. This looks, one of the Owino females. It looks like an Olololo. Where's the rest of your pride, girl? Let's just have a look around the other side of the termite mound. We'll come back to her, I promise. I just want to have a look and see if she's all alone or if there are others here. We've spent quite a lot of time being split up. Is it just you, girl? Yes. Looks like it is just her. Wisteria, you say how beautiful. She's beautiful. She's really beautiful. She's really alone. I'm betting somewhere around here is the rest of the pride. Looks like an adult female, doesn't look like a youngster to me. Hey, pretty girl. Hello, girl. Whoopsie. Sorry. Foot off brake. Lovely. I think we shall sit with her for the rest of the drive just to try and figure out exactly who it is that she is. I'm pretty sure that she's an Olololo, which means that the other 15 members of her pride are probably not far away. And I just bumped into one of the Angama guides, Alice, who tells me that they were seen walking on the road. So I don't know if she got left behind somehow. Very pretty creature. Don't forget, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter is how you can get hold of us. Alternatively, in the comments section on the YouTube page. No, she's definitely not a youngster. Looking at the condition of her teeth, they're not badly damaged, but they're not perfect. They're not clean and sparkly white. Forgive me, I'm just going to get hold of Alice and let her know that there's one lioness here, because we were working together and she promised me she would let me know if she found them. I'm going to return the favour and just let her know. Pretty certain this is an Olololo. These, for those of you that are unfamiliar with this particular pride, they did so well for themselves. So essentially, when we first arrived in the Masai Mara, she's listening to something. You just let her listen for a sec. I think there's another lion calling. Or potentially coming. When we arrived in the Masai Mara, there were 4 adult lionesses. And they had 13 cubs between them. Some were a little bit older, so some were already there when we arrived. Some were born about the time that we arrived, and we discovered them when they were just a few weeks old during Earth Live last year. And somehow these 4 females have managed to raise 12 out of 13 cubs past their first year, which is an astounding achievement when you think of the 70+% mortality rate for lion cubs before their first year. They've done really, really well, and in the face of serious threat of starvation. As a result, what they did was they started moving up into the surrounding communities. Now that is potentially incredibly dangerous. They ate several cows, they ate a few goats, and they ate one zebra right outside our kitchen. Now that of course put them at tremendous, or would normally have put them at a tremendous risk, because it really truly exacerbates the human-wildlife conflict. But it is testament to the relationship that the Mara Conservancy has with the neighbouring community, and we've compensated, all community members have compensated for the cows that they lost. Huh. Yeah. Better?
Right, now, unfortunately, it sounds like Jamie's got some gremlins and that she's having a few issues with her audio, so hopefully we'll sort that out. Now, what I'm doing is I'm busy trying to track down little Hosanna. That's what I'm doing. I found his tracks, but I've also found tracks for the entire family. Everybody's been here together. Now, the tracks that we're looking at are just in front. You'll see where my footprints are. So, just to the right there, David? Yes, there we go. So, there's my footprint on the right-hand side, and then you'll just see the little pug marks on the left going up on the road. So that's for Hosanna from last night, where he was walking. But there is tracks for Tandi, Tlalamba, Tingana, all in this actual area. So we're just trying to kind of work out where everybody went. Tandi and Tlalamba went down this way, so the tracks that Herbie has could very well be for her coming from this side already. And then these ones kind of move off up Hyena Road, and then it looks like they might come back onto Central and then follow Tandi down into this block. So I just want to double check. I'm going to go up Hyena Road a little bit just to see. Normally if he walks here on Hyena Road, his general direction then is going to be, you know, to Buffelshoek Dam, but obviously we've been to Buffelshoek Dam this morning. There's no sign of any leopard at Buffelshoek Dam that we can see, unless the wild dogs chased him before we got there, which is I suppose possible, but I didn't pick up any tracks for him on that side, and I looked on the dam wall quite carefully when we were trying to find the dogs themselves. So I don't know where he kind of went. It was very possible what he did is he just went up here and then turned and went back towards Central, because I found his tracks not far from here, kind of going onto Central and then following back, but I can still see his footprints going straight up the road, and there looks like a very, very fresh poo as well, now that I see it. So you see there on the left hand side of the road, there it is. That looks pretty good, I would imagine. Let's just have, I just want to double check. Now Debbie, what predator has the best hearing? I would have to say, now it looks as though that was from early last night, because it's already dried up a little bit this morning. So I would say maybe mid-evening. But in terms of predator with the best... now it sounds like... I'll get to the question just now, but let's quickly send you across to James.
What we've got here is a woodpecker, everybody. It looks to me, from where I'm sitting or standing, like a golden-tailed woodpecker. No, it is in fact. That's exactly what we heard. How's that? Golden-tailed woodpecker, confirmed by the call. This is really nice to have him on foot like this. While you look at him, I'll just tell you that we're a bit confused as to what's happened with these leopards, where they've gone. Tristan's got other tracks where he is. So quite possibly Tingana stole a kill from them. He's moved on towards the west. They've gone down towards the east. We're not sure. We'll keep fossicking around in this little sort of, multitude of gullies and riverbeds and see what we come up with over the course of the next 45 minutes or so, which is what we have left to drive, and we'll pick up on some small things like this gorgeous golden-tailed woodpecker, which is currently pecking, of course, for sub-bark grubs, termites, and other insecta that it might find there. No doubt it wouldn't be too shy to eat the tropical tentweb spider we found earlier today. Very nice. Little breeze coming up from the northwest. Unusually cool breeze from the northwest, but very pleasant. Then, once you've had enough of the golden-tailed woodpecker, I did find something rather interesting behind us that I'm going to try and take you towards. Shall we go to that thing now? Come here. Now, Judy H., it's been a long time since I've taxed you. I'm going to tax you today. We've got something growing out of the roots of a tree here. can't tell you what the tree once was. Yes, I can. It was a knobthorn, actually, at one stage of its existence. Look at this fascinating succulent that's growing here. Now, it looks like one of the Kalenkos, perhaps. But look at it growing from the rotting wood of this rootstock of this tree here. There's just sufficient sort of moisture holding, I guess you'd call it crumbling wood, to hold the seed of whatever this little succulent is. I feel like I should know what it's called, but I don't. Isn't that nice? So Judy H, if you're watching, let us know. Righty, we're going to go back to the Mara. There's a lioness who is doing a contact call. I'm receiving a contact call from Herbert, actually. Wonderful.
Our lioness is up and about. There must have been a second one, because I can hear a second one calling behind her. And unfortunately now she's still calling, but she's moved quite far away from us, so we're going to go catch up with her so you can hear her. She's making those low contact vocalizations. Oh. I can't really do it. I'm not very good at that. I see a second lion, I think. Yeah. Here comes the second lion. Let's just wait for it to come past so we don't block them from each other, because they are desperately trying to reunite with their pride. Hello? Oh, it's little boy. I don't think you'll be able to hear her calling over the wind, unfortunately. There we go. Here comes one of the Olololo males. As far as I know, I was giving you some back history to this particular pride. As far as I know, there are 9 of them. 9 out of 13 were boys. That is a seriously difficult task the females ended up with. Because, of course, males eat tremendous amounts. Right now, they are fat and happy because the migration is here. But this poor female's desperately searching for the rest of her pride. She's now gone off. She's sniffing to see if she can find them. Apparently, there are other lions this side, but I don't know which lions they are. Let's follow them and see whether or not it is in fact the Olololo lions, and whether or not she finds the rest of them. She will. I'm sure she will. Come, buddy. I know you are very fat, and I know you are very lazy right now, because you are so big and so full of food. But you're going to get left behind, and then you're going to be miserable. Okay. I'm going to follow these lions and see them reunite. Let's go join Tristan, who is finishing something off.
Well, I was about to answer a question, as Jamie said, about predators and hearing. So I do apologize. I was mid kind of thing when the woodpecker got in the way. And so basically in the best hearing out of any of the predators, difficult to say. I mean, it's not an easy thing to measure, I suppose, but I would imagine anything that's got quite large ears would be considered better hearing. So something like a bat-eared fox, they have a very big, very kind of rounded ears, so I'm sure their hearing is out of this world. What else? Caracal would probably have very good hearing. Servals, they've got quite big ears in relation to the size of their body. Tumba, because his ears are massive in the relation to the size of his head too. Though he's grown into them a little bit now. He's not as bad as he used to be. When he was a cub, it was ridiculous how big his ears were. He had kind of adult male leopard ears on a tiny little cub at one point. It was quite funny to watch. Ellies, what have you been doing here? Ellies have been busy. Hopefully we've managed to get through there without picking up any of the branches. Did we do it? Yes, we did. We managed to get through cleanly. So You know, I would imagine, like I say, that those two for me would probably be the better of the big predators. Well, I suppose a bat-eared fox is not a big predator. Of the main predators that we see here, I would say probably difficult. I mean, lion, leopard, and there's a nice bird of prey. Don't fly away. No, just land there. Yes, land. Okay. Right, now what have we got here? Sorry, I'm squirrel syndroming badly this morning. I just can't see the color of the eye, but it looks like a little yellow eye and yellow legs, and size would indicate a little sparrowhawk. Is it a grey seer there? It looks like a grey seer. So a little sparrowhawk is what I would call on this guy, and they're also fairly common in this particular area. Yes, it looks like a grey seer, and so little sparrowhawk seems to be the good one. Yellow legs, yellow eyes, barring on the chest. Nice to see, though. I haven't seen one in quite some time, and so quite glad to actually see these guys. They really are beautiful little birds, and they bounce around all over the place very, very quick. And obviously, as most hawks are supremely good predators, they have great eyesight and will hunt all kinds of small birds. You find them going after things like waxbills, firefinches, indigo birds, those kind of things that bounce around here. That's what they're going to be mostly targeting, even cisticolas and the likes. Now, what you'll find is that they're generally sitting kind of quite close, or in bigger trees than this. You don't often see them sitting kind of out in the open. They like to camouflage themselves a little bit up against the trees. And this one seemed like it came off the ground, so I wonder if that's why it hasn't flown away, is that there might potentially be a kill here somewhere. And I'm just going to roll forward slightly. They also do go after doves from time to time, so if they do a dove is quite a big object, and you can sometimes actually see the evidence of it. But I don't see anything. They came off the ground from this area here. This is where I first saw it, when it kind of came up, but I don't see any sign of any prey items that have been taken. Maybe it was something very, very small that it just wolfed down. Alright, well, that was nice and pleasant to see. Now, in terms of Hosana's tracks, you might be wondering why I haven't really mentioned them. No sign of his tracks continuing up Hyena Road. It looks like they cut towards Buffelshoek Dam. So I want to just go around one more time, just check there, and then down Nyala Road. If I can pick up any sign on Nyala Road, then I know he's come through. Otherwise, the tracks that I found going back onto Central are the right ones, and that he's actually gone back southwards again towards the Mulwati, and maybe is heading back towards his pan that he needs to go and monitor. He hasn't spent much time at his pan in the last few days, and it's because he's been busy with other things, and I suppose he's been on the kill. He's had lots of other leopards around to go and investigate, which keeps him busy. You know, he's an active cat. And also, he was lounging yesterday. He decided he was going to check himself in to the tent and just have a little look at what's going on, and maybe, who knows, maybe he signed up on a Twitter account. We'll have to go and check the computers to see what he got up to there. But it was quite amazing when I was walking up to the tent to start the afternoon shift for Nescam. I kind of walking along and I see these pug marks, and they're leading from the tent, and part of me thought to myself, well, hang on a second, wonder if he's actually kind of inside the tent, because if he's in the tent, this is going to be a bit of a disaster, because you know, it's going to catch him by surprise, and a confined leopard, even if it is Hosana, is not really what you want to walk into. So I kind of had to approach with caution, and then I saw that he had been lying right kind of at the edge of the tent, and he had gone around and sniffed about inside and then gone out and moved off. So luckily we didn't have to kind of worry too much about him being inside when we saw that. So pretty crazy though. It's amazing. Imagine you're sitting in the tent and he had decided to come poke his head in. It does happen from time to time. I've seen quite a few photos of leopards poking their heads into tents and rooms and all kinds of other places. Curious cats, leopards are, and so they often do these kind of things. Right, Hosana, are you going to be at the dam having a little drink quickly? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure his tracks are the ones that turn back onto Central, so just want to double check here just in case. You never know, he might have come for a late morning drink. No, there's an impala coming for a late morning drink, so highly, highly doubt that there is a leopard drinking if there's an impala here at Buffelshoek Dam. You'd find that these guys would not be in the presence of a leopard if they had seen it, and it's coming from the same direction that Hosana theoretically should have come from. So I don't think that it is in any way too spooked. It's lucky it wasn't here when the wild dogs came past, because otherwise that poor impala would still be running for its life and would be having a tough time of it as it was going along. Right, now carrying on, we're going to see Nyala Road, check if there's any sign on Nyala Road of anything, make sure we don't miss any tracks, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Jamie, who I think is still with the lions and in all likelihood is still following them about as they meet up and groom each other.
Lioness seems to know exactly where she's going. I've just spoken to Titus from Angama. He said that the young males went this way ahead of the females, and the females have been searching for them all morning. So we're walking alongside with her, trying not to disturb her too much, I'm watching her very closely to make sure if she is calling that I can stop so that she can listen. I was for a little while wondering if we were going to have a serious interaction between the Olololos and North Clan, because they were walking straight in the direction of the den. And while I seriously doubt they'd be much of a threat to those cubs, because I think the cubs would be safe underground, you never know. It would be interesting to see what sort of defense the hyenas would mount, or if they would just abandon the den and leave the cubs to hide. Yeah, let me get you a view of her. She's really missioning now. She's marching. The young male has been left far behind Mum. Or Aunt. We don't know if it's Mum or Aunt. Joy, yes, of course we can use the spot patterns on the lions' faces to ID them. The whisker spot patterns are showing Mom. It's always the boys that call like that. The girls do too, but the boys more commonly. So the whisker spots are the most unique, are unique to every lion. So essentially this patterns of where their whiskers sit, the dark spots, that's unique to each lion. That's how you can use them to identify them. Unfortunately, I'm afraid to say I don't have the whisker spot patterns of every female memorized. I'm certain that this is an Olololo, though I recognize her. Then, of course, you can look at tatty ears, missing teeth, tails, scars, but you've got to be careful with scars because scars heal and scars change. So you can't use a scar as a solid identifying feature. But the best way is to use the whisker spots on the lionesses. And we've got ID kits for every lioness. Not every male, or at least every lioness that we've regularly encountered. Through a combined effort. Nikki's also done an amazing map up in the studio of their territories, which needs some adjusting because they're keeping us guessing at all periods of time, but it's still really nice to get a visual overview. Sorry, I cannot function properly. She knows exactly where she's going. She's obviously heard the responses. And what lions will do in a situation like this is almost play Marco Polo. But instead of instead of it moving around, the one lioness will call, she'll hear the others call. She'll walk in that direction until she's not quite sure where they are. She'll call again. And then she'll carry on because they'll respond. So she zones in on wherever it is that they happen to be. And we're going to get a really nice reunion, I think, pretty shortly. She was probably sleeping in the shade, big-bellied, didn't really feel like getting up to much, neither did the other male. Every now and again she stops to sniff, but I don't think she's using her sense of smell anymore to follow them. I think she's actually calling and hearing them, because she's not sniffing as much as she was. Yeah, she's Michelin. Nope, it's this way. Subtle change of direction. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Oh, another subtle change of direction. don't count gamer. In terms of the dangerous encounters I've had while filming, so rather than while guiding, because I've had a few dangerous encounters on foot while guiding. That's sort of part of the whole process. But since I've joined Wild Earth and been in, I suppose, the film industry, if you would call it that, I think the most dangerous encounter I've had was the stampede last year when 100,000 wildebeest ran at us in the dark. That was probably the most dangerous encounter I've had while filming. It was very, very out of our control, which is not what you want out of a situation with wildlife. You want it to be in as much of your control as you can possibly make it. Sure, she's moving fast. On we go. Maybe it's under this tree. Could they be under this tree? Perhaps the next tree? Not this tree. Doesn't look like it was this tree. Next tree? Okay. As we catch up with her, which is not... She's keeping us busy. We'll call you back immediately if we see the other lions. Let's go across to Bushwalk in the meantime.
Yes, hello everybody. Here we are. We're still on our bushwalk, obviously. Herbert has found a track of Tingana, but I'm now distracted by what is definitely a Niconico species of some sort. This one is growing out of the ground and not out of the roots of another tree. Although, excuse me, that said, it is actually growing out of the rootstock. It's growing out of the rootstock of the zebra wood. So it's the same one we had earlier. I don't want to dig it out, but it's definitely growing from the rootstock of the other tree. That is fascinating. Dead zebra wood from which this Niconico is growing. Very interesting stuff. I'm pretty sure that Judy H has probably told me what this Niconico is before, but I don't know. I've forgotten, naturally, my small brain. Let's keep going along here. Herbert is looking slightly more excited. I can't believe that Judy H thinks it's acceptable for her to be on holiday at this stage. How dare she go on holiday? You'll all tweet her in consternation, I hope. To leave me like this. Hello, Poofy Poof. The most favourite thing for me to find on bushwalk is the sour plum. The sour plum I delight in. It tastes very nice. It's like the opposite of a sour worm in that it is sweet on top and sour underneath.
That's your nickname.
And it's my nickname. What, sour plum or sour worm?
It's probably
Apparently my nickname, everybody, is sour worm. I didn't realise this. I'm going to have a word with everybody at camp in the morning meeting. That's unbelievable. Sour worm. I can just imagine them all giggling under their breath as I come walking along with my mincing little steps. Oh, here comes sour worm, guys. Let's have a look at the tree. This is my favourite tree, Poofy Poof. Not in terms of anything, but you can eat them. This is my favourite tree in all the world. It is called the lokeberry, or manalcano. A Tolkien novel.
Now, unfortunately, the sour worm is so irritated with his nickname, he's just cut off the signal so that he doesn't have to talk about it anymore. And I will get it back, don't worry. We're going to make sure that he will squirm under the pressure of the sour worm nickname. Now, I don't know who gave that to him. It's the first I'm hearing of him being called a sour worm, but Fergus comes up with these funny nicknames from time to time, and so you never quite know where it's come from. We'll have to ask Ferg a little bit later. Now, nothing for Hosanna at Buffelshoek or Nyala Road, so he must have turned back like I thought he had and gone back into the drainage or back towards the Mulwati. So what I want to do is I'm just driving slowly on Vulture's Nest just to see if there's any sign of anything here, and then from there I'm going to start moving up the Mulwati back towards the dam and hope that I get lucky with one of these cats. Where there's all these tracks, there's got to be one of them somewhere around here. His tracks looked quite good, but where he went to the toilet, it was definitely a bit of drying there, so it wasn't from the first thing this morning. So I think it was from last night when he left the dam. He just got continually chased by hyenas all the way up, and you probably find he went towards Buffelshoek Dam, found himself a nice spot and laid down, and has just had a good nap and might go towards the dam a little bit later. That's what I'm hoping, is that I'll find him this evening around Buffelshoek Dam, or even hopefully back this side. We'll see. It's going to be interesting kind of to see what happens and where he goes. Difficult to kind of know 100% without getting out on foot and actually just following the track all the way through, but it seems like that is what has happened, but we'll just have to kind of check. There's some little carnivores. Now, they're not a leopard, but they are very, very playful and fun little characters. There's a whole bunch of dwarf mongoose that are bouncing around all over the place. There you go. You can see some of them up on the mound itself. They're quite spread out at the moment. There's some that are just off to my right-hand side. They're all kind of having a little bit of a sort of scavenge about, and these guys will have come out now, and they're going to start looking for all kinds of food items as they go about it. David, you come more right. There's ones that are very, very close to us, just right here. There we go. So those are much easier to see, and they're all kind of looking about, scratching around in the grass. You'll find that they'll do a bit of digging at this time of the year, also a bit of grooming, and they'll, I'm sure, will be absolutely loving the sunshine that has come out this morning and warming everybody up after a cold start. And they really are cool animals. I absolutely love spending time with the dwarf mongoose. They're quite comical. They seem to always be busy with something and running around, looking about. There's going to be another one crossing the road now. So this is what they do, is one will cross the road and then the rest start to come, and you can see bouncing along as they go, and it's kind of this zigzag pattern that takes place as they go from one side to the other in order to be able to find what they're looking for. Now, you can also see that they don't spend much time on the road because they know that being out in the open is generally cause for concern, because many different birds of prey would love a dwarf mongoose meal, and so they try and kind of cross these open sections as quick as possible and stay very close to where there's some structure and some cover that they can then hide away quite quickly should something come along. Very cool little creatures, though. They seem to have all disappeared now, so we'll carry on and keep going down towards the Mulwati. Hey guys. Oh, there they all go, kind of bouncing around. Okay, we're going to carry on. We'll send you back across to Jamie and the Mara, who it sounds like has followed the contact calls, and the rest of the pride is now somewhere close by, or has joined, I believe.
Perfect timing, watch this. Reunion. Happiness abounds. And the lions of the Masai Mara reunited once again. Stunning. I have no idea how many we have here, but they are very happy to see each other. I'm sorry, I really need to sneeze again. On the Haku we saw them reunite. It's a lovely scene. Lots and lots of them now back further towards their territory, their normal territory. I'm a little bit perplexed because some of these lions don't look a year old. Maybe I'm wrong. Some of these lions look younger. But it has to be the Olololos. There's no other pride with this many cubs. But that cub looks... maybe it's a year old. I guess the youngest set are only just a year old. But they're not. They're 14 months old. One looks a little bit young to me, but I could easily be mistaken. Oh, happiness, lion happiness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 so far. Looks like 2 of the adult females here. And all very happy to see each other. I'm going to move around quickly so that we've got slightly better light, because right now we're facing into it. So let me just move around. Hello, lions. It's a veritable carpet of lions. Yesterday I was watching them hold pride. It's so big, they couldn't all fit under one tree. There we go. That's really very pretty. With this beautiful shepherd's tree. Speaking of trees, it's lovely. And it'll be the perfect shade for them. And this is probably where they're going to spend the rest of their day. Actually not that far away from that young male that we saw this morning either. Nana, you say that you wish human family reunions were as cute and playful as this. I guess, don't we all, Nana? Unfortunately, often human family reunions fraught with all sorts of internal family politics and conflict and occasionally snide comments, possibly passive-aggressive ones. Of course, you may be fortunate in that your family is free of those things, and that reunions are joyful occasions, although probably with less headbutting, unless you are a very sport-oriented family. Less headbutting and less showing of teeth. Right, it is lovely to catch up with the Olololos. We'll spend the rest of the morning with them. Let's go to James, who's doing his best lion impression.
Well, many, of course, would attempt a lion impression with loud growls and roars. My lion impression is one of slumber. Now, I think that Jamie's assertion that she wishes lion and human meetings up were as cute as those that occur between lions, I would say I would just wish that humans were as cute as lions, full stop. Yesterday we had a rather interesting situation. Tingana came down to the Galago Pan, where he arrived again yesterday, and then probably again this morning, and he ate some soil over here, and we can see where he was licking. There's a little hole here, and that's where he was licking. You can see his footprint over there, his front paw, and I didn't really know why he would do this. Of course, we do see elephants and warthogs and antelope engaging in what we call geophagia, which is the eating of soil, especially at this time of the year. And Herbert says to me, yes, well, he's definitely seen cats doing it. I can't remember ever seeing a cat doing it, but he dug a great big hole here with his tongue. Now, there have definitely been buffalo here. All of the soil here smells like buffalo. It smells like a dairy. I've no doubt they've urinated here. They've defecated around the place, but not on this particular patch. And I wonder if there isn't some sort of nutrient in the buffalo's urine that perhaps Tingana felt he needed. Can't imagine what that could have been, but you never know. But he sat here and he licked this, and I thought maybe he was just smelling it for a while, but then he lifted his face and he had a black tongue from all of this dirt here. So that's very interesting. According to Herbert, leopards do engage in geophagia, or the eating of the earth, I suppose it would be called literally. And so that's very interesting, especially at this time of the year. Remember, of course, that the meat that the predators eat will be as deficient in nutrients as the herbivores are themselves. And so as we go towards drier times, towards times when there are fewer nutrients about for grazers and browsers, so the meat that they produce on their bones will be, similarly bereft of those nutrients. And therefore, of course, the predators that eat them will need to seek alternative sources of vitamins and minerals. And apparently, the soil around the Galago Pan is, such vitamin stop. Not going to do that. Alrighty, let's go back to Tristan. Don't know where he is, don't know what he's doing, don't know what he's looking for. We're going to go through this thicket.
Well, James, I have now stumbled upon many a leopard track that is all over the place here. Of course I have. It's because this looks like Hosanna again that's walked south from here. Now, I'm confused slightly by these tracks because his tracks are on Central. Now, we're walking, where I am now is parallel with Central. So maybe these are this morning's tracks, maybe these are this afternoon's, yesterday afternoon's tracks and the ones on Central are this morning's. Difficult to say, but this is on top of everything as well, and I know he likes to walk around this area. I didn't find anything further south, so I think maybe, just maybe, he is somewhere, maybe he's just at Twin Dams. You never know, actually, but interesting. I didn't pick up anything as we were going. He definitely walked here. He walked straight down this pathway, which intrigues me, like I say, because I wonder then why there's tracks on Central as well, because these tracks would have taken him straight to, I mean, we're walking parallel with that. I know he went behind the dam wall last night, so I don't know. Difficult to say, because the other tracks on Central come out from the dam wall. Obviously Hosanna's had an absolute field day last night. He walked everywhere by the looks of things and has had a busy morning. So just want to still check around here, because you never know with him. He can sometimes just loop back on himself and come back into this area. I think Twin Dams is actually not a bad bet, looking at these tracks, that he might have actually headed all the way down. Interesting. I'm going the wrong way now though, for the way that the tracks were heading. He definitely had quite a party, because there's definitely his tracks, both sets that are on Central and here. It's much smaller than Tingana. Well, not much smaller, but it is smaller than Tingana's track. You can see them quite clearly in comparison to Tingana's. And he definitely was around here. It's just difficult to know which ones are the freshest set, because both are heading in the same direction. So normally what happens when you follow tracks is that you'll have, let's say, a track going down the Mulwati and then coming up Central, then you would know, okay, that's the kind of loop that he walked. Whereas what we've got today is we've got everything's going that way but nothing coming back this way, so difficult to actually kind of figure out exactly which way he went last night and which ones are the fresher ones. Both look very fresh. Both of them are on top of everything that I could see. I mean, the ones on Central was on top of every little track that was on the road, and the ones here seem like they are too, which is fairly intriguing. But he must have gone maybe towards, I suppose he could have gone towards Pangolin Track and Ingwe Alley and Philemon's Dip. We know he likes to spend time hunting there as well. I don't know, it might be for this afternoon, a mystery for this afternoon to solve, what actually happened and who went where last night, because it seems as though there was a leopard party on Juma when the lions left. Everybody thought, well, that's it, they've gone, we can now have the place back to ourselves again, because the leopards have really dominated Juma over the last few months, with the Nkuhumas kind of being MIA for a lot of it. The leopards have just been basically the forefront of everything. They've kind of taken over as the key species that we look around for, and so I think once the lions left yesterday, they thought, well, we'll just show everybody that we're still around and still doing our thing. Right, now it sounds like James, the sour worm Henry, has found himself a bird, and well, James, be careful with birds because they like worms.
This apparently attracts birds. There it is. There's a little couple of Melba finches and 2 blue waxbills in this bushel. Now this could very well be Fergus's very final segment, and I have tested him to the max now. Can he get the green-winged Pytilia, aka Melba finch, before his day is done? I can see something hopping around in there. It is a blue waxbill that I can see. They're still there, Fergus. They're on the top. Come around this way. Unless you can see it there.
That's something, but it's just kind
You had something? Yeah, you'll get them now.
of, where's the guy?
Come on, Fergus. Male and female green-winged Pytilia on screen. They're standing still. Can you see them? Come on, everybody, confirm. And Fergus's final segment. Can we see the... Oh, dear. Can you not see them there? They are there. They're still there. Oh, now they've flown. Oh, but at least we'll get a blue waxbill, second prize. You do need to understand, everybody, this is not easy. Camera work, this stuff, this is very difficult. We got the blue waxbill. Well done. Good job. No green-winged Pytilia. Well, it's a bit sad. See if we can't find it through here. No, we can't. Alrighty, let's go back to Jamil Patterson, sitting in amongst Brent's birthday cake and some lions in the Masai Mara.
I think my favourite thing about lions is the joy and the love that they have for each other, and the happiness that they show when they're reunited. You can see when they're separated how anxious they are, how uncomfortable they are. And of course, yes, their survival, their individual survival, depends on the rest of the pride and the strength of the pride mostly. But there's something beyond that. They're the only truly social big cats. It's a very special thing to witness these moments. Lions lead relatively uncomplicated lives in a way. Their priorities are relatively simple. Okay, lives are not simple, but their priorities are simple. Some shade, some full bellies, and the companionship of the rest of their pride, and they are perfectly content. I'd say it's a bit unfair to say that they lead uncomplicated lives, because the life of this pride has been not uncomplicated at all. They struggled to keep their cubs well fed without the bounty of the migration around. They occasionally took some dangerous measures to try and keep their cubs well fed, and they've done an amazing job at doing so. It must have been incredibly hard work for them. Growing lions are never satisfied when it comes to food, just like teenagers. And they really had to work unbelievably hard to keep their cubs alive. They've brought them into danger now in this area. It remains to be seen how they will do. However, they will be around for a while. Ferg, unfortunately, will not. So it is with great sadness that we go back to the Bushwalk team for Ferg's final segment for now.
I'm trying desperately to find a sufficient amount of cable so that I can actually show you, Fergus. Hang on, everybody. We're all strapped in here. We should be able to do it. I know you're not looking at anything right now, but we do want a final look at Fergus, of course. God, how have you done this? This is unbelievable.
Skills that only camera guys have. Go put it on the back.
90 seconds on it? Well, you should put it on my back. Good idea. Okay. Right, there we go. Okay, there he is, everybody. Fergus, do you have any final words?
Yes, follow me. Ferg Clark Cam on Twitter.
Ferg Clark Cam.
Thank you very much, everybody out there, for putting up with my bad jokes. I will be freelancing, so I'll probably see you again sometime.
Marvellous.
Keep following the Twitter stream.
Good.
And, watching the TV programs.
Right.
Loving the animals.
Perfect. Let's now do a gentle walk out of frame, and we'll watch you walking into the distance. Thank you, Fergus. It has been marvellous having you with us. There he is. He has told some very good jokes. They're not always bad. We wish him all the best as he goes off to Cape Town to continue his career as a wildlife cameraman or nature cameraman. And we wish him all the very best. It's always really sad to see people go. I've known Fergus, of course, since we were both about 15 years old. And that's him disappearing now. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. We'll see you this afternoon, of course, at 3:30. Until then, thanks for your questions and comments. See you later. Bye-bye.